and welcome to Talks Around the Teapot.
Oh, I went too fast. Teapot. I got too excited.
Hello, I am in the DM's chair. This is a wonderful feeling. I understand the power Lyndon has felt for the past couple of years. Well, actually, for this chair, less than that.
Yeah. It's a metaphysical thing.
Metaphysical power, yes. Welcome. This is the final Talks Around the Teapot for campaign 1. Yeah. The first campaign. It has come to its end. Doesn't mean it's the end of these characters, but it's the end of this campaign. Welcome. We're going to be doing questions, answers, discussions about the campaign in its whole. Favourite moments, things that we don't know that happened. Any secrets that the DM has that he is willing and able to share. It is going to be quite the conversation, and they will be doing most of the talking, but I will lead the conversation if it leaves the track, which they tend to do.
Well, lads, what a campaign! For real! What a fucking roller coaster of a journey. First of all, round of applause.
No.
I have a concept that I would like to do on this one-off special, as Lucia says, it's Talks Around the Teapot special, because I was thinking about it.
Don't hurt yourself.
I think it would be nice if everybody, and Rio can do this too, if everybody shared like their favourite moments for their character, top 3, top 5, like not in an order, but like some moments that are like standout moments for your character, and then I think we should all give each other some.
Yeah.
And we can give Lyndon like for NPCs, and like Lyndon can do his favourite moments as his moments to DM, or for NPCs. Like it's up to you.
Brilliant. But we'll do that later.
I've got 2. I don't know what my third could be.
You don't need a third. That's just like a suggestion.
I don't need a third.
You like to do it as a trio.
Top 3 Viscount moments. Interesting.
That's not what I asked.
Number 1,
what I heard.
dying.
Number 1. Number 2, dying.
Wow.
Number 3, getting feeble-minded and pissing the bed.
My favourite Viscount moment was that he bought Aggie a Scotch egg.
Honestly valid.
Yeah.
No, that's so true. That is the best thing he ever did.
He was a very generous man.
He did buy Agatha a Scotch egg.
He had wealth and he was willing to share it.
I think what I'm interested in from the DM, now we finally got him, is how the campaign compared to what you thought it would be. Like, how far off track did the girls go? Like, did the girls surprise you? Like, the way the characters turned out, did they surprise you? Were they what you expected? Were they not? Like, how did it compare? Because you came up with this. Like, Demons and Daughters is your brainchild. And I'm just interested in how far Taya, Agatha, and Rosalind derailed it, or made you inspired to shape it in different ways.
Completely. Like, you got an idea of what I wanted to do from the first 3 or 4 episodes. Very sort of like every week we'd have a new thing for you to do, something to get your teeth into, a puzzle to solve, someone to fight in the future, not obviously there. But you guys were like, no, we actually don't need an outside world. We're happy just being in a room talking together. And I mean the characters in a room talking together. If I just locked you in, you'd be like, yeah, we're good for weeks.
Content for days.
Yeah, so I changed the style of the thing to be much more... It's just what these girls are interacting with each other. I still threw in, obviously, my main sort of bits that I wanted, but yeah, in a different style. Instead of going to Ratcliffe and you'd have like, 1 week you're hunting down grave robbers, another week you're trying to get rid of a poltergeist, which kind of did anyway. I brought that back in a different way.
We befriended her.
Yeah, I had lots of ideas for lots of small, like, mini bits
tasks.
that you do, tasks, which is very D&D, but you weren't interested in them. You weren't interested in the main plot, so, like, I'm not going to give you subplots to go with it.
I think what's interesting about that is, correct me if I'm wrong, you'd never played D&D before with a group of actors.
No, I played D&D with D&D players.
Yeah. Whereas we joined this with very little D&D experience, but...
Oh, and it shows.
Well,
You've played it wrong from the beginning.
as salty, gross, crusty boys on the internet like to tell us. But I think
turned the chip on the left into a lich.
But I do think it's interesting because again I think just while we're reflecting on the show, like I know a lot of D&D APs and podcasts say this, I really don't think anyone's doing what we're doing. Like
I do think that maybe our next campaign will be slightly more D&D-esque.
I think we've sort of not got this out of our systems because we're always actors. We're always going to be very character and roleplay focused.
Yeah.
And we're probably always going to get a bit sad. But, like, I do think because of the I'm not going to reveal too much, but because of the nature of what the next campaign will be, I think it will be much more D&D.
Yeah.
It will be efficient and focused.
No.
It will be focused.
As Rio can attest to DMing two of us at home,
Yeah.
we will never be efficient and focused.
Which is great if you want to, like, punish them. It's brilliant, yeah. Just kind of like, if they don't do what you want, bad things happen.
Yeah, and they do happen. They do happen
Mm-hmm.
a lot. But yeah, what about the plot? Did anything about like the main plot or any plot lines that you came up with individually for us all? Like, at what point did you sort of come up with things for each of us?
I mean, the main ones, right at the beginning. Georgiana, right at the beginning. That was all solid from the beginning.
Georgiana being right from the beginning fucks me up so bad.
and Rio knowing that.
Because the owls. Because the...
Oh, I'm talking from the beginning, when I was still planning it. Not from, like, the first time you meet Georgiana. Like, the first time you told me about Georgiana was when I messed with it for you. I'm just trying to think. Yep, Talia's mother being killed by her father straight away, beginning. Because why wouldn't you? As soon as I had Gilbert's character, I had Gilbert's dead wife's character.
Yeah.
And why.
I'd be interested for me personally because I was a latecomer to this.
Yeah.
So, because I made up the character of Agatha about a week before we first played.
So I had slightly less time to think through that
but
one.
were you, did you like have that planned within that week, or was it like you'll figure it out as you go along, the same way that my character of Agatha is very much we'll figure it out as we go along?
Well, I was lucky because obviously your family wasn't in the picture, so I was able to grow it a little slower.
Yeah.
But I would say from fairly early on, your parents didn't change from what I came up with.
Okay.
Yeah.
I suppose everyone's asking the question. You can ask the question, guys. The question you want to ask.
What's the question?
About her mother?
About her?
Oh, I thought there was a question.
Well, my question.
The question.
What, was Agatha actually sick?
I guess we'll never know.
I think you know. I think it's heavily implied she wasn't.
Yeah.
What I thought from my talk with Martha and towards the end, that it was implied that she was sick at the beginning.
Yeah, that's what I mean.
At the very beginning, and then as she got older, that was just medication.
Munchausen by proxy.
Yeah.
Which was my theory from the start.
Yeah.
I can neither confirm nor deny. That will be an open-ended one.
Fair enough.
I literally just came up with another question for you.
Of course, you could always cast Zone of Truth.
I could.
Force it out.
Does he? That's
If he doesn't yet, he
perfect
will.
answer.
Yeah.
Let's just cast it on the girls for fun.
Oh, you should. That would be so... I know that he wouldn't, but that would be so much fun.
Yeah. I was going to say, I had another question.
When we find Frederick, cast it on him.
Yes. No, please, actually. But that is actually a good point. Another question that I had for you was, were there any storylines you had for each of us that you scrapped, that you didn't do for whatever reason? But that, like, you were seriously considering, like, plot lines for us all.
I mean, not scrapped, but like they just didn't come to fruition. They weren't, I gave you a lot of crumbs, and most of them were like, no, I'm too busy being gay.
We were very busy being gay.
Agatha wasn't busy being gay.
No.
She was
Agatha
busy
was busy,
Sorry.
like, just having a breakdown about her friends being gay. Playing.
Well,
Obviously, the Morningstar
Agatha was the
card
glue.
came up.
Oh yeah, the Morningstar, because
Yeah.
because I assume that will probably, and the key bearer. Actually,
It was very close.
that's my
It was very
question.
close.
Has
Very close to
the
it coming up.
Yeah.
So the decision that Agatha needs to make hasn't been made yet?
No.
Okay, cool.
No.
Do you think it will come up in one of our future things?
Maybe for the very last one shot you ever do.
As
these
for Demons and
characters.
Daughters, not we're not banned from one shot after that.
Well, you should be. You should be.
Interesting. Oh, that's scary.
Because I was thinking, like, towards the last load of episodes, has that decision come up? And
Did you miss it?
No, not that Agatha missed it. Did I miss it? Mm-hmm. And that Agatha just did it, and like she just knew straight away. There was no, because I've been anticipating since I found out there was a choice that needed to be made. That's going to be a big like back and forth. Like I'm monologuing to myself for quite a while,
no.
so it didn't come up. Fair.
Yeah.
Fair.
Things got sidetracked.
Yeah.
Um,
We do.
Yeah.
Talia's journals, collection of journals.
Yeah, she's gonna start looking into that again now that we've saved the world.
Yeah. But again, that feels like something that might come up in a future one.
Maybe.
Like, I think she wants to
yeah.
figure that out just for herself, even if it only sort of unlocks stuff that we now already know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because why were her mother's journals coded?
Yeah, we never
Fun
figured
thing.
that out, did we?
It's because it was very fashionable back then.
It was fashionable.
And your mother enjoyed that. She was a smart little fellow.
Okay, now I'm taking a slight diversion from reflective questions. I just have a question that I'm interested in if you can answer me. Will we... I guess I'll... What was the Viscount's injury? What's going on with his burn scars all over him? And will you ever tell us the story of how the Viscount and Lilith became pact bonded? Because I'm so intrigued by that. Or are you just going to eat cereal and look at me?
Why are you here? Get out. You're not going to give us anything.
It's an interesting question, isn't it? For which there are solid, fixed answers.
I'm going to entitle this episode Getting Blood from a Stone.
I always knew this episode was going to be pointless and fruitless. He was never going to give us anything.
The Viscount was a soldier, as you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
In the Napoleonic Wars.
In the Napoleonic Wars, led his men through many a glorious battle successfully. He was good at his job, like he's good at most things he does.
He's good at dying.
He's good at pissing the bed.
And during some of the exploratory parts of his campaign through southern France, perhaps northern Spain, I'm not sure. Yeah?
Something happened.
Yeah?
Told you.
Sure. Fine.
Simply will have to come up at a later
It will.
date.
Yeah.
Alright, something I think you might be able to tell us more of. Just like a bit on Richard and Madam's backstories. Because I know we've sort of got hints and stuff, but I'm very interested particularly in Madam and the implication of her being at the French court or being quite high up in France somehow. And like her fleeing France. Because this is something I don't think is going to come up explicitly in any of the one-shots or anything. But I've always been so fascinated and Rosalind's always been so intrigued. And I think, and here's my justification, I think that at some point, because after this campaign, Rosalind and Madam obviously, like, you know, that's sort of her mentor, as it's always been in terms of being a female leader in the way that Rosalind is. And now that she lives there with her, I think Rosalind and Madam probably spend a lot more time together. I think they get to know each other quite deeply. And I think Rosalind at some point would ask and get a kind of story time here and there when Madam perhaps feels so inclined of an evening after a glass of wine. And I think Rosalind hears a bit more about her life, and I would like to know.
Oh, it's a nice try. It was a really good try. I will tell you that she arrived in London penniless.
Yeah.
With just the clothes on her back.
She is, in fact, Maria Antoinette.
She is not Marie Antoinette.
Yeah. Because whose head did they cut off?
Opposite of all she stands for.
And I will say that you definitely, I was listening to you talking about Richard earlier. Very wrong, very wrong. He was not a pro wrestler in the fight pits, you know, that sort of style.
Was he more drunk and sad?
I don't know about drunk and sad, but definitely, you know, he was a man coming home from a war, abandoned by the government afterwards, and was just surviving. So yeah, he didn't come into fighting pits to any sort of fanfare and stuff. He was just a big guy, and he would win a lot.
I just meant I feel like he had run into a punch before.
Yeah, but none of this showmanship that you were talking about. And while there, that was where
Why Madam found him.
yeah, found him, got to know him, sort of saw some potential in him to turn his life around, and the two of them built something special.
I really love them so much. What's Diamond's real name?
I don't remember. It's written down somewhere.
It's going to be something like Ruby or something.
It's Marie Antoinette.
I was hoping you'd just say Diamond.
Yeah. It's Taya Campbell-Over.
It is Taya Campbell-Over. We were saying if there was ever like a live action Demons and Daughters, I would play Diamond.
I would play Madam B.
If it was if you were old enough.
I'd have to be a bit older.
Yeah. Which meant I couldn't play Diamond.
Shit, yeah, of course.
It depends on yeah. But you could play. You older could play Madam B.
Yeah. And Maijai would play the rat form of Duna.
Maijai would play Frances Bronte.
Who would you want to play?
None of them. None.
Duna. We'll put you in a wig.
Yeah, maybe I would.
We said Granny Hereford for you.
Oh yeah, you're Granny.
Yeah. Me and my badgers just hanging out.
So the druid stuff and the way the written river from the beginning with like Georgiana or was
Yeah.
Fuck me.
But
The
just
fact people
not something
guess-
you could have explored.
People
or could
guessed
have
Rosalind's
didn't.
class as druid from the beginning, and that's what really gets me, because had everything not happened with Frederick and Georgiana the way it did, Rosalind would have grown up to be a druid. If
Maybe.
Georgiana was able to talk to her about things the way the rest of the women of the lineage had been.
Maybe.
What was I about to ask?
Pull it out.
How would
it.
we have been able to follow up on the Francis thing? Was there a way, or was that always going to be a reveal?
That's a
I'm
good
sure
one.
there were strings you could pull out. I like to leave. I don't try to. You can come up with your own strings to pull, you know, and you didn't.
Yeah.
So, like, you were just kind of, that's interesting. We'll put that on the back burner.
To be fair,
And
we
so it
did have more
remains.
pressing issues at the time. But yeah.
Because you never asked Howard about her, for instance.
I'd
Would
forgotten
Harold
about
have
her
known?
by the time.
Yeah, but Harold didn't know. Like, he confirmed that he had no idea about this. Oh, then I guess he would have known Francis, like, beforehand,
Yeah.
maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm interested in that. Do you think that Talia and Francis, like, bond in the future? I suppose that's
I
for both
don't-
of you, because you know Francis's personality, and we don't really. We've only seen her very briefly.
I think there's an opportunity to bond if someone has given up their stubbornness and wants to, you know, make friends in the future.
I don't know how deeply they bond. I think that depends on how it
Yeah.
goes. She definitely seeks out Francis to find out the
Talk.
whole story.
Yeah.
She might want to help rescue her brother.
Well, yeah.
We were
Well, that's
saying
why
this.
she wants to find Francis to talk about the whole story and to be like, well, we're gonna go save him, and like, do you want to try and help with that? I don't like, but that's why she wants to know the full situation, because, like I was saying in the past couple teapots ago, like, I lost it.
Like, would she be allowed to if she's part of the witches' circle? Because... or
That's
would she
not what I was gonna say, but that's a good point.
Because that is something you were talking about.
No, it was about, like, she just sort of wants to know to understand. Like, she's not necessarily angry and negative about things, but she wants to be able to understand. And if she doesn't fully understand the situation, I don't know how much they'll bond, because she
Yeah.
won't understand it.
Yeah, no, that's true.
So.
That's true.
But I do think she'll try, and it depends on how the response goes and how it goes from there.
And just technically the only family you have left.
Yeah.
A close family, as in family trees.
Yeah. But we're gonna go to hell and save everyone, or try to.
Maybe, or die trying, yeah?
Yeah, basically. I want to talk to my brothers. I want a scene in something with Rosalind talking to Archibald and Edwin. Because I left them a note, and I think what I want to do is write you that note prior to one of our one-shots. Perhaps before going to hell, Rosalind will want to say, hey, because they got back one day and their mother was gone too. You know? Like, they don't know what the fuck is going on with
A lot
this
of people have
family.
been lost.
But Rosalind wants...
Edwin's now in charge.
Rosalind wants to explain.
Isn't
Archibald?
Oh, Edwin's going to be in charge.
Archibald.
Where's Archie?
Yeah, but didn't you say that he lives
Edwin's-
elsewhere because with his wife?
Well, yeah.
So
But if our father is presumed dead, Archibald won't move back into Penn.
Oh, Edwin's not giving up the power that he's grasped now. Ultimate power.
So while we're fighting demons, they're having a brotherly political struggle over a small area of land.
Yeah.
That sounds very masculine.
That's like what they would do. And Rosalind's going to show up and be like, very well, can you sit down for one moment and be civil while I explain to you everything about demons in hell?
Edwin really has taken to running the mills, supervising the mills. Like
I wonder why.
He's really into that.
Interesting.
yeah.
Interesting.
That is something I'll bring up. I didn't bring it up beforehand. I was at the end of the game when Seth was talking about how he was just like given away by his uncle who didn't want him.
Yeah.
Which is certainly a valid way to feel, but again, it's one of those I'm sorry you feel that way things. But I was thinking perhaps you would roll insight to be like, because it was your household.
Yeah.
You know, so you would know that he didn't give him away. You know, this is a Bill from the mill was just trying to get a better life for this young man,
I know.
and had a connection through a certain friend.
Talia figured out that it was because of Edwin that Seth got the job.
Well, yeah, it was.
Yeah.
It was. I mean, I was very clearly saying Sanity because as Rio, it's like this is a wanted and desirable position for someone.
Yeah.
Yeah, every boy in the village wants to work at the big house, you know,
Yeah.
that's
And I-
like the
it's
best.
also like I don't think though, as Rio, you can tell me if I'm wrong. Bill doesn't want a son. Correct or incorrect? Does Bill want children?
Never thought about it. Don't know. You'd have to ask him.
Well, Seth had probably lived with him for 4 years before.
I mean, it's probably if it's probably never come up. I guess I don't know. I would have to ask Bill. So
Okay, can you do that now, real quick, or? Are we
No.
just gonna... Oh, okay.
no, he's not here. So.
Told you.
Yeah, yeah.
But certainly he was not like just getting you out of the house. He was, you know, doing his duty as a good uncle.
The carer.
Got you. You know, you were never gonna do well in the mill or anything like that with real manual labour. So this is it's a good job. It's well paid, secure. You know, it's gonna lead you places where you never thought you'd go. And he's right on all counts. Technically not wrong.
Yeah. I have a fun question.
I just think it's interesting that Seth took it so negatively.
Well, he
Bill
did-
has no idea.
Seth's also a little teenage boy.
Seth is a teenage boy, and Seth's dad was mean to him.
Yeah.
Yeah, but he had to go to university.
Well, of
Yes,
course.
he had to
yeah.
go to
or
Cambridge.
college or
Oh
whatever.
my god, DM, was that true? Can you reveal it now? He went to Cambridge, right?
Yes, he went to Cambridge.
The city.
The city.
city.
Yeah.
Yes. I think probably he's dead.
What?
I think probably he was murdered over debts that he owed, and got himself
That
into a lot of
makes
trouble,
sense.
and just died in a gutter.
Yeah. I have a question for
Probably,
you.
we don't know for sure.
I mean, we sort of know, but I just think it would be funny to hear in your own words, like what Seth's impression of the girls was at the start of the campaign. Because obviously, like, he hadn't been working at the house for very long. So he hadn't known Rosalind that much longer than the other two, who then just rock up to stay at the house. And just like, he must have thought they were all weirdos. Like, but in his nice, polite, I can't think badly of them way, but like underneath that, like what did he think of these three fucking
I mean,
weirdos?
first things first. Seth doesn't really hang out with girls. He never had.
Yeah.
Girls don't really hang out with Seth. Totally different.
Hey, they're both true statements.
Oh, but he had a crush on that girl in the village. Fair.
But it's so Seth was very much like, well, maybe this is what teenage girls are like.
He was right, to be fair.
Yeah.
They are across the three of them, I think it's a pretty solid representation of teenage girlhood.
He didn't think of them really too much because it was very a case of he was informed before getting this job. It's like, hey, this is an important job.
Yeah.
You need to make sure you do well in this.
Don't fuck it up.
You know, and however Bill informed him of that.
Yeah.
So it was very much a case of like, well, these are people that you are working for. They're not your direct bosses, but if they tell you to do something, you kind of got to do it.
Yeah.
He thought they were odd, but he kind of thinks most people are odd the same way that most people think Seth is odd.
Yeah.
Yeah, he thinks they were generally quite nice. Like, they're not the meanest people Seth's ever met.
Yeah.
Maybe Agatha wasn't on the... but, like, you know, the other two weren't. Yeah.
He was so mean in the first
I was just remembering Seth having to get down his hands and stuff so she could use him.
Yeah, so Agatha...
Ice down, Seth.
Yeah, so Agatha was definitely on the meaner side, but the other two weren't.
In justification...
Here we go.
I'm curious.
I like to also justify my moves.
That there weren't many servants in Lyme Regis. But Martha, the way that Agatha treated Seth would have been the same way that Martha would have treated those servants.
Yeah.
So that's
Step on their back.
no, not step on their backs, but not being nice to them,
Like
being
the way
like
she spoke.
this is how you speak to someone lower than you, and they will do what you tell them to do no matter what it is.
Whereas, like, at least Rosalind was taught, like, you are in a position of power, so you have to be kind and gracious and be generous to those who work for you, you know?
Yeah, Agatha was not taught that. Obviously, it's not nice, but that was all she knew.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
She's unlearned all of that.
she has.
So she fell in love with a whore. She's
did.
gained some class consciousness.
Yeah.
Yeah, shall we talk about Thomas?
We can
Shall
do.
we?
Yeah.
So I'm just seeing you wearing one of my socks.
Yeah.
Do you have a problem?
Well, I'd like to know where the other one is.
I don't know. I found this sock this
Check your
morning
pocket.
This morning.
in my bag of socks.
Isn't this the sock you were looking for before?
Oh no, wait, they're both my
your
socks.
socks.
They're just
Well, you can have them.
definitely the one with the L on it is mine. Even though you're wearing it on the R.
Right foot.
Oh, I thought it was L for Linda.
Why is everyone
No, I don't brand
Like,
my
why
socks.
have you embroidered?
monogrammed socks?
That's what I'm getting Lyndon for
I'm kind of a big deal. I'm kind of a big
Why
deal.
can't have socks and say TVES?
Yeah.
Listen,
he
I
does.
don't know
What was
why
the
everyone's coming for me in my socks.
What was the Viscount's intelligence stat?
Yeah. Yeah. Why did I say it like that?
I'd need my phone. It's high.
Oh, fair.
You were about to say something else about Thomas, and I didn't know if.
No, I was bringing up Thomas
I
as a point of
As a
discussion.
conversation.
Yeah.
Any
I love
questions?
Thomas.
Any
Because
feelings?
you made him up on the fly, right? You made like all the male whores up semi on the fly.
Not on the fly, like a few days beforehand or whatever. I mean, I had their names, and I didn't have any personalities. I had the description. I probably have the notes somewhere, but something along the lines that the boys of the Velvet Masquerade were just a bunch of dumbasses. Just a bunch of himbos or whatever.
Yeah.
That's not quite what I wrote. And then I had fleshed out the girls because I knew you would want to interact with them more anyway.
Yeah.
And I thought it was funny for them three to just be like dumb, dumb, and dumber.
Yeah.
What's so funny
Thomas
about
being
that,
dumber.
it's like, other than Diamond, we actually didn't really interact with any of the like women whores.
But the thing that I
Like you did with Lulu a bit.
the thing that I do think is nice though about it is that it is just, I think that's one of your greatest, I'll say it. I mean, we'll come back to reflections and favourite moments later, but I think one of my favourite moves from you, Lyndon, as a DM in this campaign is the way you develop Thomas Fitz.
Yeah.
Because I know you didn't necessarily come up with him on the fly, but you had to very rapidly develop him into a fully fleshed out character because Agatha started falling in love with him. And I think that's a really cool skill, is that like he sort of became more of a full character the more Agatha fell in love.
Yeah.
And it was really beautiful
And
to see.
I also have to say, like, your character creation of him, not only did Agatha fall in love with him, like,
Everyone.
I fell in love with him, and I fully grieved that man. Like, when he died, I went into a state of mourning. And, like I'd never had that about a
Sounds
fiction.
Should we do an episode on character bleed?
Yeah.
It's literally just 2 words on a piece of paper, Morne.
I know, but that's how like well you did that.
Yeah.
Is that like that's how it was. It was beautiful.
And it's not only that you made this character who was so lovable and who was so believable, and you know, he had hopes and dreams and private wishes, and like he was complicated, but you made him into then narratively and thematically what the story needed, which was just like this pure humorous, like Thomas was such a source of light, and he was so separate of any of the big powers or any of the struggles we were dealing with, so he was just this breath of fresh air that we all needed. And then you managed to use his death into the turning point of the show, really, because I think about the show as having, if there's a midpoint, it's Rosalind getting engaged to the Viscount and Thomas dying. Those happened at the same time, and that felt like the middle of the story.
Yeah.
Because the story felt very different before and after that, you know? And I think Thomas's death was the step into the second half, you know? It was that taking a darker turn, but like, you gave us all something to fight for and grieve because you'd made a character that we loved so much and who was so real. And yeah, Thomas is one of my favourite things you did with this show.
Cool. Yeah, I mean, I just, like, I don't plan out a lot. I have seeds, I've scattered the seeds, and then my little pigeons come along and they pick up the seeds, and I'm like, which ones nourish you, you know? And then
So cute.
it was Thomas that you latched onto, so Thomas was the one that I grew. Zach, you just kind of was just like, oh, he's an amusing one to have around, but no one was particularly interested in delving into him. And then the other one, Jonathan, I thought he had quite an interesting backstory. I mean, they all had small backstories.
Their backstory.
Well, not backstories, but like who they were that you didn't get to see. Jonathan was a fine Welshman, working class Welshman, but had grandiose ideas.
Is that why
of,
he put on an accent? Because he had a Welsh accent and he was hiding it.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I was saying before, I was just interrupted. He
Sorry.
had this grandiose idea that he deserved better in life, and of course he does. And so had a sort of personality change, which is also why he was often like rubbing people the wrong way, because a lot of him wasn't the real him.
Yeah, that makes sense.
He was trying too hard. But ultimately, just wanted a better life for himself and was just trying to hook up with some milfy older women with money.
Can you tell us about Zach and Thomas?
Yeah.
Because in Zach's speech, it was like he was my best friend. He saved me
when nobody else did. Because obviously, you say we weren't that interested in Zach. I think it's more that Zach never really had a reason to become more central. Zach played a really beautiful part, even if it was very small, in that he was the first other very visibly queer person Talia ever met, and he was the first ever person who cross-dressed that Talia ever met in the way that she did, and like they got to bond over that, and that was really pivotal that early on. And like Thomas as a ally, I'm interested.
Yeah, he was very obviously queer, and just couldn't. He was not good at masking it or hiding it in any way. You know, it's like, he was just gay as fuck.
Like Talia.
Basically. Technically bisexual, but like more the other way.
But it's that like visible queerness.
But it was very visible, so it was very easily a target. And I don't know how they came across each other. You know, everyone kind of knows everyone in Ratcliffe, I guess. Thomas didn't like seeing this younger boy at that age just being picked on, bullied, you know, stones thrown at him, that sort of thing. Thomas was a big man. He doesn't like fighting, but like just being big enough and standing next to him was all he really needed to sort of protect him. So
Morne's about to cry.
One's like, I love that man.
Yeah, I could even go so far as to say that the only person that Thomas ever punched was someone that was bullying Zach.
I'm gonna cry now.
Can we know what Gilbert got imprisoned for?
Yes, oh my god. Do you have any ideas on that?
You'd have to ask him.
Okay.
Maybe you will. When we go to hell.
No, she's going to.
Yes.
And not really imprisoned, just jail.
Arrested.
Yeah. He never got sentenced.
Yeah.
We got him out before then.
Is Marianne alive?
I mean, I guess I haven't spoken to Kitta, but I would probably say maybe, but maybe not.
Rosalind definitely will try and write to her. You know,
She already has. She sent off one letter, right?
she sent her wedding invitation, and that never
not
got
going ahead.
well, my husband died.
I think there's a chance. She knew something was up with her husband, who was clearly trying to poison her. When the poisoning didn't work, just straight up killing would have been the next step. So it's just whether she was able to defend herself against this creature or not, this doppelganger shapeshifter.
But the thing is, I think she would have, because I think that she only had one on her, as opposed to the many that were in the Viscount's house.
And she was sus. I wouldn't have got taken by surprise in the middle of the night or whatever.
She was already sus. She did all the right things, because when I spoke to Kitta about it, Kitta was saying that the reason Marianne... So after Marianne left the show, she went away to stay, her and her husband both went away to stay with family in the countryside.
Yeah, where there's loads of them.
because she has a massive family and they all have lots of children. She's got dozens of nieces and nephews. So she went to help with one of her sisters who was pregnant and look after all the children. So she went somewhere that she would always have other people around her, be separated from her husband quite a lot because she'd be more with all the women and the husbands weren't allowed in with the pregnant women. So she had been smart about it, and she was a trained monk. So I think there's a good chance she's alive. I like to think.
I think so. I think the odds are in her favour, as the kids say.
That's good to know, isn't it?
Yeah.
But yeah.
Thomas, though, he's fucking dead.
Yeah.
Well, yeah.
You know who's not dead? The guy that killed him.
No, that's another thing.
2 out of 3.
Yeah, 2 of them are dead.
I don't think
one
that's a
of them's
one
still
shot.
alive.
I think that's a
Well,
sort of
no. It's probably... It will either be something that
a
happens...
story you could tell.
Yeah, a story that I could tell. Because Agatha will know what that man looks like.
I
And
mean,
You
that's...
can just have him pass us on the street as we're going on another mission, and I can just bang,
I mean,
bang,
this
bang.
is Agatha the assassin now,
It is,
if that's
yeah.
allowed to be revealed.
Yeah, we
That's your
revealed that a while
subclass.
ago.
couldn't
That my
remember.
subclass in Rogue is assassin.
Makes perfect fucking sense.
Yeah,
So,
I think we did reveal that.
Maybe the hunt is on.
Maybe.
Yeah. While we're at that point then, do we all want to say what we think happens in the girls' near futures? Because I think we're very clearly going to have a one-shot pretty soon about killing Newman.
Yeah.
And pretty soon after that, Set going to hell. Because in my head, once we've killed Newman, it's like, okay, now we can go to hell.
Yeah.
Because we can't leave Newman
makes sense.
unattended.
Yeah.
Because he's going to raise another fucking cult.
Yeah.
And try again. So it's like, we kill Newman, we go to hell, and then, I don't know what.
Well-
and then what? What?
My
I
plan...
literally can't plan anything past that.
Well, what Agatha wants, obviously...
Or what would you like for her, I think is my question more.
Obviously, there is every chance that in these one-shots, people die.
Yeah.
But what Agatha wants is to make her way back to Lyme Regis, grab all her stuff.
With us, I want
Yes.
to be there for that.
Yeah.
I think we are.
And I think once things really settle down, I think she will ask Harold or Albert for a loan of some sort to get herself a little house, probably not in Lyme Regis but on coastal, a direct route to London. That's what she wants, and whether or not she lives alone or if she lives with someone, that will be whatever happens, but that is what she wants. She just wants a little place, a quiet little place.
Chickens and horses.
Yeah, of course.
What will you name the chickens and horses?
Don't know. She'll.
Thomas one, Thomas two.
Yeah, Agatha just slips into insanity, just obsessing over this man she knew for a month.
Follows in her mother's footsteps.
No, because that
Runs
is
in
a
the
fear
family,
from
yeah.
her for her, because psychosis is hereditary. That is a fear that she has.
This whole show, just in Agatha's head.
Maybe all this is just one of
The
my.
demons
This is
actually aren't real.
It's just like the actual ending credit. The real ending is just like, and you leave the catacombs, and Agatha wakes up and sleeping in a little wheelchair.
Jesus, that would
Well,
be
the cousins aren't real. Like, everything is.
awesome.
Like,
No, we're not real.
you invented everything.
I wrote a gay fanfiction. Like, for why?
And then I wake up.
Morne wakes up.
I'm 9 years old and there's still bushes making wee noises at me.
And then you go and watch Just My Luck.
Just my luck.
Just my last.
Yeah, so that's what she wants.
Yeah.
So, but like a direct route to London, because obviously she will be aware that things need to be done. Yeah.
I would like to think. Full stop. No, I can't really.
When my brain doesn't work.
I don't really know what the future is for Talia past like getting to hell, because that
It's her next
decides
focus,
so much,
yeah.
and that's her next focus. I would like to think that she, you know, as I'm sure they all do, find their proper footing in the Wardens.
Yeah.
And I think she, obviously she still stays as a very well-trained fighter, but I think she starts to put her focus into other places, and more into the library, and more into back to her creation days. And like, if Gilbert's there, great. I think that they
work together.
Yeah, and Lucas sort of rebuild the library, and well, not that the library wasn't rebuilt, but you know what I mean. Like, I think that she becomes a very important part in the Wardens, not in the way that Rosalind will as the leader, but in, like, I think she sort of has a section that her and a few people take care of. But I don't know how soon that is. I don't know if that takes a while to happen.
Does she ever go like travelling, do you think? Like, she always wanted to sail and stuff.
I think it depends on,
Like, if the world is safe.
yeah.
Yeah.
I think it depends on how safe they've made everything, and obviously if there ever is an opportunity where it's like, oh well, we have to travel to be able to do our job, Talia's the first one there. She's like, let's go.
I hear there's a yacht up for grabs with 14 sails. Currently no owner.
Now on auction.
Not that anyone knows that, but
Not yet.
Oh my god, what if she steals his boat? One shot. No, I'm kidding.
I mean, one thing that is guaranteed is that London is not the same. It's wrecked. It's
Yeah.
wrecked because half of the upper class are gone.
Yeah.
Good.
The king is missing, I guess, at this
Yeah.
stage. How that turns out is up to you. But yeah, the people that ran the city and ran the country, many of them have disappeared.
Gone, yeah.
Just vanished. So like, it's the city is in a transformative state right now, where other people are going to rise up to fill in these gaps, and it'll be a very different world to real life.
Good.
Not necessarily a better world, just people with different. Like, it's a new money world now.
Yeah.
And we just have to see how it goes as you tie up these loose ends.
Yeah.
But yeah, I imagine that Howard plans to keep the king there indefinitely.
Yeah.
Because he can't let him out. And I think he will just lock him up, and he will be the king in the dungeon until he gets old and dies, and they figure out what to do before then.
Unless Talia's like, okay, well, we know that this one's a doozy, let's go
Yeah.
speak to the next in line, and then
Yeah.
I'll just kill him, I don't care.
Yeah.
Also a possibility.
Yeah. We have to clear our names.
Yeah, but you can look like the king.
Yeah. Well, I think that's like one of the first things Rosalind does when she gets time, is like, I don't quite know how she'll do it. Like, I'm saying this because I don't think this will come up in any one-shots. Maybe it will come up in the Newman one. I don't know. What?
Oh, sorry, I was just thinking that the queen has come, the actual queen has come back, the king is missing. She might actually just step into that position of power. She might actually become the
It's true, and like at this point in history, Caroline of Brunswick has come back to regain power, and the people were in favour of her.
Yeah.
The people didn't like King George.
Yeah, so that
So-
might actually...
Because actually, like, because it's to do with the king's blood why they have to be...
Yeah.
So, like, Talia's thought is like, okay, well, that person just, like, shouldn't actually be the king, and they should just be part of the sanctum, and they know that that's what they do,
Yeah.
and then we're all fine.
Yeah.
So it's actually better if they don't end up being on the throne.
But yeah, I think regardless, somehow Rosalind clears everyone's names.
Yeah.
Because I just think she's the only one that would, like, try and do that. And I think whether it's Mask of Many Faces into the king and just, like, giving a pardon to everyone, or whether it's some other way. Because I do think...
It's suggestion we get him to sign a pardon, who knows?
I do think she was also maybe slightly onto something because she is very socially aware. I think she definitely tries to help rebuild things in the way that she can. I think she potentially covers up a lot of the events that have happened by blaming them on the Viscount. Like, I genuinely think she might have been onto something with her little falling on her knees in front of the king and being like, he made me do all of it. Like, I really think she might, because she is a public figure, I think she might come forward and be like, hello, it's me. The Viscount actually, like, did all of this horrible stuff. He set all these fires and, like, I was too afraid to say it, but, like, he's dead now. Like, he died in, like in one of his attempts to, like, do more arson or whatever. I think she might come up with an elaborate story, and because she's super persuasive and, like, she's got all of these magical things that can also assist her, like, she could suggestion police officers and, you know, like, I think there is a very real way Rosalind sort of clears the events for the mortal realm, and I think she would get some satisfaction from laying the blame on the Viscount's memory. I'm interested in if she ever meets the Viscount's sister or family, because I think that Rosalind definitely spends a period of time clearing up her personal loose ends. Like, I think she, like, tries to help the family of Harry Taylor. Like, I think she visits them with some money and tries to help them.
Not gonna force Talia to do it.
No, what Talia does is her business. I'm my own woman.
Gets away with it in the end after all.
No, but I think I'm interested. I like Rosalind doesn't want any of the Viscount's money or anything like that once it's official that he's dead. But like, she just sort of wants a clean break from it. And I like to think that she keeps living at the Velvet Masquerade. She sort of keeps learning from Madam, like how to lead and how to do things. I think she continues to grow her sense of self through doing that. I like to think that because she always feels like she wants to contribute, but that's not so much in an unhealthy way now. So I think she uses her magic to help all the whores with whatever they need. Like, she, heals them when they're sick and stuff. I think she also continues trying to teach herself how to sew again without magic. And I like to think that she gets some of her skill and her hobby back in dressmaking. I don't know if it's ever on the cards for her to do that for work. There was a time she would have liked to, but her main focus will always be the Wardens. And I think that eventually in her life she will become the new version of the High Protector. But I sort of think, like you were saying, all the titles of the Order and the way it's structured will be reshaped. Yeah. I think we completely change it.
Yeah.
So I don't think she's sort of the High Protector in the way that old High Protector was the High Protector, you know? But yeah, and again, all of this obviously depends on, this is all just thoughts and things that I like to think about, but it all depends on everything that happens in the future one-shots. But I just like to think that she lives quite a good life working for the Wardens, and I think she recruits people. I think she, through series of Rosalind being Rosalind, I think she meets more people and brings them in, and helps them become more empowered. Yeah, I just like to think that the Wardens is a new order now, you know? And all three of the girls are very instrumental in it. And I think that she becomes besties with Lucas even more. I think that now he doesn't have a crush on her, they actually can become friends. And that's really nice because Rosalind has never had friends apart from you two, and that's always been difficult. I think Rosalind and Seth bond. I like to think that she teaches him more healing stuff and they learn together, if he can. Rosalind definitely ended the show feeling very sisterly towards Seth, and I think that just grows. I like to think that would.
I think Talia and Seth finally figure out how to talk to each other again. I think it's easier now that Talia... I think now that she's found some of her joy again and lost some of her heaviness, it'll be easier again. The one thing that I not the one thing, 'cause there are many things, but one of the things I'm very interested in potentially revisiting at some point is Talia and Jonathan meeting again.
No, me too.
I really want to see that, and depending on at what point in her life that is, how they are, because like Stone is and always will be her home.
Yeah.
And he's there,
and
keeping
even,
it clean.
And I don't know what Gilbert would have set up, because obviously, like, women can't inherit, but...
You do know what Gilbert set up.
Oh yeah, Colin.
Oh yeah.
We haven't touched on the ending for Colin. He's still waiting.
You need to figure out the Colin fiance problem.
Yeah. But I like to think that Talia figures out a way to keep Stone. I don't know how. But, you know,
Rosalind
Stone...
cast suggestion on her, the uncles, to be like, give up Stone. You don't want it. You want somewhere else.
But Stone will always be her home, and I think Jonathan will always be at Stone. So I'm very interested in a reunion, because there was one version that I saw where they do come back together and they do sort of re-find what it was that they had with a bit more equal respect between them.
Yeah.
But I don't know how likely that is, and I'm very interested in potentially finding out at some point.
I think that would be nice to explore in something.
That's
because
what
I would like to see it just as like a fan of the show.
I think if, it's my equivalent of your conversation with your brothers.
Yeah.
Is me going back to Jonathan.
Yeah, I agree. Because if it's not already clear, like Rosalind is completely estranged from the Penhallows, I think.
This is not cool.
It depends on what happens with Frederick, if we get him back from hell, whether or not he stays as a part of the Wardens, because he did break every law.
One
that
rule.
The Wardens,
One rule.
The cardinal rule.
It's a rule.
The rule.
I feel like the cardinal rule is...
But Rosalind would never suggest
you
that
don't
he
talk
leaves.
about...
The sanctum.
The sanctum.
First rule of the sanctum
Yeah, the
impervious
first-
is that you don't talk about the sanctum impervious.
Rule 2 is you don't bring back the dead.
Yeah.
It's like rule 7, maybe even 8.
No, it's not.
You're just pushing the goalpost further
Yeah.
because you don't want to get rid of another one of your baby boys.
Well, no, they're very focused on the demons, not so much the dead.
Well,
So
my thing is that regardless of what happens with Frederick, if they have to be colleagues, she'll learn to deal with that because she has to. But she wants a final meeting with her brothers because she doesn't really have anything against them. Because of how the situation is, she just can't really be around them anymore because she can't be at Penhallow Hall and she can't be part of the family. So yeah.
There is a chance. That
I
either
thought something else.
because Talia either doesn't marry and that's fine, or she speaks to Edwin and either marries Edwin, or Edwin finds her somebody to marry so that she
Like a gay boy. Yeah. Beards.
Because there was one point where we were talking about the fact that Talia and Edwin, from society standpoint, would actually make a lot of sense. In that the families have always been connected, they've always known each other, and there's always been
been friendly.
Yeah, there's always been a clear friendliness
And they
between
suit each
them.
other in that they're both sort of troublemakers.
Yeah.
You know?
Which is funny.
It is funny. Because
they'd be married and never see each other.
Yeah.
Uncle could get a promotion. Does that sound
Yeah. Oh yeah, Bill for the Mill would suddenly be earning so much money. But no, my other thought was that I think on the flip side, I don't know how it'll be. I can't even
I don't think
begin.
Talia ever gets married.
Yeah. I can't even begin to think how it would be if Georgiana makes it out of hell alive. I don't know what she would be fundamentally with your magic lore. Rosalind will definitely have a big long talk with her. But I can't even think about what that relationship might be if that is what happens because I don't know anything. But regardless of it, I think that Rosalind would want to spend more time with her aunt and her grandmother and just to learn more. I think she's just very interested in it and I think she would want to find out more and spend more time with them. But yeah, I don't think Rosalind ever marries. I had a phase where I thought that she would find the gay man equivalent of herself, the most handsome, perfect societal man who's a raging gay. And I thought that they would, I thought that could be nice for her. But I just think that Rosalind has actually ended up, she's not really in society. Like, that's not her path. Her path is with the Wardens and with the Velvet Masquerade.
Have you considered Nigel?
I've considered that I would like you to shut up about him.
But Talia is the same in that, like, she's never really been
And,
part
like,
so, like, why does she need to marry?
And, you know,
she'll just live at the
well,
Sanctum.
yeah, because now it's like, oh, I can live at the Sanctum, I can live at the Masquerade, like...
You want to live underground, no windows.
Not really, but I'd rather that than live at Penhallow Hall or marry
and
someone.
we can always go back to Stone.
Yeah. And Rosalind, I just think, at this
They were
point...
roommates.
It's become such a thing that she's so, like, I don't want to say jaded, because that's not what she is, but she's so, I think, traumatised by the concept of marriage, with everything she went through with the Viscount, but also with her only versions of a marriage being her parents, Talia's parents, and Agatha's parents. I just think that's something that she now has absolutely no desire to do. Like, the feeling of freedom when she killed the Viscount is something I can't even put into words. Like, I think now that she doesn't have to, I just can't see why she ever would.
So not to be that guy, the reason why your dads could do so many things and get to the places they could get to is because of their position in society.
Yeah.
If you disavow and step away from your place in society, you'll live in a position where you'll have less money and ability.
Yeah.
My counter to that,
Yeah.
for Talia specifically,
Yeah.
is that she was already not going to be part of the society, and nobody was ever going to let her in anyway.
My answer
Well, yeah,
to
because you
that-
would have been the wife of another lord. Was he a lord?
Call
Yes.
it Mr. Jefferson.
Yeah.
No space.
That's
But
why he
my-
arranged that for you.
But my counter to that is that I think you've sort of run with what I've said. When I say Rosalind isn't a part of society, I don't mean that she's, like, never seen. Like, she unfortunately has the name and the history that she has. People know who she is. I just think that she is kind of retreated from it. Like, I think she's maintained those skills and she's still able to be there. I just think she has a layer of sort of, not like a layer of mystery around her, but there's a level of anonymity and she's sort of withdrawn from it. And unfortunately, like, it sounds kind of shitty and privileged, and it kind of is, but, like, there are other people in the Wardens who are. The Thorne family are very rich and influential, and Lucas is inheriting that.
Yeah.
Harold Pentecost and the Pentecost are one of the richest families in England who continue to fund everything that we do.
And
The
Aggie
Brontons-
will fall in love.
Well, I was thinking that because at this current moment in
And
time,
as I said, I'm not
Agatha,
distancing myself from the Herefords.
Yeah.
Agatha doesn't want children at this moment in time because of how fragile her mental state is. I think she's in a type of position where having children right now would be unethical for her.
Yeah.
But that doesn't put off.
Also, she's 18.
Yeah. But that doesn't mean that in the future that isn't something that she doesn't want. I think Agatha is someone who would like to be married and have kids one day. But she's
very practical about
she's been
it.
practical about it. She wants to make sure that it's with someone
That's right.
that is right, and that's someone that she does love and understands these worries that she has.
Yeah.
And that obviously, unfortunately, like, I mean, she is 18, so she still has like about 20 years left of having, like, being able to conceive. So maybe
Probably a
even
bit
more.
less back then.
Well, yeah. But that there is time for her to
change her mind.
change her, well,
Not change her mind.
not
but,
change her mind, but
Yeah.
like,
Get to a place where it's a possibility.
yeah.
Yeah.
So, because I think she would most likely marry one day. It just, that there just needs to be time for process, and yeah.
Fair.
Do you think the girls ever?
I think we will find out in
Yeah.
future.
I
future
agree.
things.
If they don't, do you think Talia would fall in love with someone?
Interesting. Because before it would have been an absolute no.
Which is so unhealthy.
Yeah.
What do you mean you're hung up on your girlfriend from when you were 18?
But actually, I think there is the chance of
Yeah.
it, and I think she is very I don't know. She's a very different person now that
Yeah.
that's not controlling literally
That's
everything
so
that she does.
nice. Cause
Maybe she becomes the whore Talia that we all thought she was going to be when it started. When I say when it started, it was before we realised how intense this was going to be.
she was going to be a fuckboy lesbian.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe
Well,
she becomes
Maybe
that.
she has an era. She deserves an era. Of
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I don't think Rosalind ever has an era of being a whore. But I think... I agree. I kind of think that there's the potential that Rosalind would fall in love again. And I just think that... But in my head, I don't really see Rosalind, like, ending up with someone long term. I don't know. But it would all depend. I think it's a possibility, which is all we can really say for now. But I equally do think there's the possibility the girls sort of fall in love again in years' time, but I don't think that should be soon.
Yeah.
But
I
it
don't,
depends.
I don't
think
think
it
Talia
is.
ends up alone.
Yeah.
Even if it's not, even if it's just sort of like a casual person that is an ongoing
Yeah.
thing, I think that there's someone in the end.
Yeah. Whereas
Well-
I think Rosalind could, and I think that would be good and okay, you know?
I think what the audience wants to know is Rachel the librarian.
Yeah, oh my god, yeah, Rachel.
Is
could.
there a chance?
Come back and find out.
It's not a no. That's
not a
all she
no.
needs.
No, no.
She's the only gay in the village. She'll latch onto any other gay she can find.
Yeah.
Well, we're in London for work now. There's lots of gays in London.
Apparently so.
But yeah, I had something else I was going to say about this, and I've forgotten it. I have forgotten it.
Any other burning questions from me?
No, I'm sure I do before this ends. I'm
But you
trying
didn't write
to
them down.
trying to rack my brains.
At what point? I mean, it was very early on where you decided Seth was going to be a cleric. This is just for me to know, though. At what point was it before we even decided to film the first 4 episodes, or was there a point in the first 4 episodes when actually Seth was a good connecting point?
I just thought it'd be fun right at the end
Okay, right.
of episode 3 or 4 or whatever.
Oh, so it was like towards the end. Okay,
Yeah.
that's cool.
I threw it out there and then we thought we'd see what sticking with it. Took a while to settle on cleric. There were still ideas,
Actually, the
but
first one was cleric, and then we went to paladin, and then we went back to cleric, and then we went back to paladin.
then
and
we
then
tried
stuck with
druid.
We went druid for a little bit. That was
That
a
makes
chance that it was
sense.
gonna be a druid.
Just trying to fix the right one. But then as other things firmed up, I was like, no, cleric will work.
Cleric makes sense.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Will we, in future things, do you think, find out about Seth's god? Or god fragment?
Yes.
Slay! That's
Will
cool.
we have a Seth story?
A Seth story.
Like, is there going to be a one shot that's more based around Seth than any of
And
us?
like we're just there for the
Yeah.
ride.
Maybe.
'Cause that would be
Fun.
cool.
That would be fun.
Seth isn't ready to be a main character.
Not yet. Not yet.
Well, he's a bit
a
older.
few times,
Few
you know.
years,
It's not going to be the next
Yeah, yeah,
one.
yeah.
Oh, no, clearly not.
But yeah, that would be fun. That would be very fun.
Where do you think Seth ends up?
Yeah.
I mean, Seth will want to continue to do the right and good thing. I think everything that happened in the Abbey did help him kind of like be like, I am not the end all judgment on morality. However, I have a general idea of, like, on one side of the spectrum, saving the world, very good. On the other side of the spectrum, ending the world, very bad.
Yeah.
And then the rest of morality is somewhere in the
Yeah.
middle, and it doesn't make a lot of sense. But he knows he doesn't think he's done wrong yet,
Yeah.
and he's going to want to continue to do right. But I think really he's going back to, grandmother Hereford, and just being like,
What now?
what do now?
What do now?
He's on a new path now and has a new path to walk and explore and lead in a way
Yeah.
as he gets older.
Yeah. So it's just that I don't know if he. It's the first time in his life, I suppose, where he will have some sort of purpose, but having to lead his own way, it's again a lack of purpose. So it's the first time purpose, and then also the first time the lack of purpose.
Yeah.
Two things being true at the same time.
Yeah.
Well, that's the root in the river. No one can tell you what to do. You have to find it for yourself.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
That's awful for Seth.
Beautiful.
That's awful.
right?
It's beautiful, but
I
it's
think-
awful for Seth.
I think we'll come back to Seth in like 10 years.
25-year-old Seth.
Yeah.
Like my age.
Wow.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I think between now and then, Seth has a path to walk, a path to explore, And I think in 10 years, if we drop in then, it would be an interesting story.
Yeah.
Or even longer, who knows?
The classes that we weren't allowed to be, that all died out.
Sure. I lied about some of them,
Like druids.
like dreads.
Which ones died out because everyone in the Wardens was killed, and which ones stopped being a long time ago?
I mean, not all of them died out. Like, so technically you can be an artificer and stuff, but you had no way to be an artificer from your character's perspective. So some of them were
Right.
just off limits. 'Cause
Yeah.
who would teach you them?
Yeah, that makes
Right.
So
sense.
you had to have these sort of either innate or learnable
Skills,
classes.
yeah.
So it left all the melee classes open, more or less. And I guess technically you probably could have gone with a paladin, maybe. But I feel like that still requires a sort of knowledge of a god to serve and stuff, or that sort of thing. So I left that out. And then some I just left out for just not being.
The vibe.
Yeah. So no bards, but I thought a bard at the end because it just kind of felt right.
And again, it's that thing of
And
like,
it's not. She's not a music bard.
yeah. But when you open up
It's a whore bard.
these things to people of different classes, you suddenly get new things. You get new combinations of power that you don't get when you keep it in the same aristocratic families. And that's what I really like about the story we've told.
But yeah, in terms of people, I mean, one thing that was only really hinted at, but there are other chapters of the Brotherhood spread
Yes, I want to see
all
like
around
the
the world.
France one and the like.
The France one's gone.
Oh yeah, 'cause- yeah.
That's totally wiped. That was kind of the beginning of the end, really, because I like to imagine that these sort of people like Newman kind of got the French riled up, ended the bloodline for the kings, and was like, that was sort of next on the list for England and that sort of stuff. But there's a Spanish one that was potentially able to come up but didn't. And yeah, further east, possibly something in the Americas, but would have been very different, like completely separate. But maybe there would be an imported one. Maybe there'd even be sort of like friction between the sort of imported Western and then what was already there with its own long history as well.
Yeah.
So there's a lot going on out there. You were just one small part of the puzzle.
So cool. It would be cool.
There's only so much of a story you can tell. You
all
can't
of
just.
those, at some point.
I am sure a chapter will pop by at some point to see what the fuck is going on.
Yeah.
Nobody expects
And you will.
Spanish Inquisition.
Pretty
Pretty much.
The three annoying teenage girls to save the world. But
So that would be interesting. But yeah, witches, druids, they were all killed off basically, except for literally a small handful, perhaps only 5 or 6 in England at a time.
wow.
What other classes are there?
Clerics.
Cleric.
Clerics, can't have clerics with no gods.
So is that the only cleric? Or is there like...
Yeah. Anyway, so like I said, we'll come back to
That's what I
Seth in
thought.
10 years.
But yeah, it's
Um,
very cool.
Barbarians.
Richard is now a barbarian,
Yeah.
but that was one that early on
Yeah.
you said didn't make sense in the world.
Yeah, but that's why he was a sort of the barbarianism from him, and with the wild magic, it's just sort of this unique sort of.
Yeah, very
thing.
cool, very
Yeah.
cool.
So it sort of
Yeah.
opened up a class from being sort of imbued with this sort of holy magic type stuff. Maybe not holy, but certainly divine.
Yeah. I like that.
The paladin's tattoos,
Mm-hmm.
was that the same as Talia's one? Did it just buff his AC, or was it?
Yeah,
something
protective tattoos, because people can't just walk around in suits of armor. So.
Yeah, that's fair.
Mhm.
Yeah. The tattoos were so cool. I really like the tattoos.
Yeah.
At what point did you make all of the cards? At what point did you make the Lilith card?
Oh my god, we can look through the cards!
Because when the Lilith card came out in Act 3, I was so like, you made these so fucking long ago, like before I even knew Lilith was going to be a thing in this show. When did you make the Lilith card?
I mean, all at the same time.
So way back when, like before Lilith had even become
I'm
a
not
thing.
gonna. I made all the cards at once. I'm not gonna cut up more. It was a hard effort.
So when did you decide to bring Lilith in, and at what point did you think that I might multi-class? Because what I'm interested in is I yapped a long time about how Warlock was my favourite class in D&D, narratively, and then you gave me an opportunity.
Well, I guess from pretty early on, because the Viscount was a Warlock.
Yeah,
Viscount had a thing.
makes
And
sense.
I know that girls love Lilith. It's a thing.
Yeah.
I've listened to everyone go yabba 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 talking about non-biblical books and stuff, and it was like, oh yeah, Lilith was erased from the Bible and all this sort of nonsense, which is nonsense, but
I mean, the whole thing is nonsense.
Oh yeah,
It's
the
all made up.
Bible.
no, but the bit about being erased, like it was a lost book, like the Book of Enoch and stuff like that, which is like written way later than other. Anyway,
Bible.
boring, or not, depending, because it is kind of what we base the show on.
Yeah. Because so
pretty
you
early
knew the Viscount was going to be a Warlock from... Because I gave you the Viscount. This is what I'm interested in. I gave you a list of Rosalind suitors, and I said I think there's a high-class one in London that she's pursuing. And did you decide to, before the game, that he was going to
Before the game, I had two options. He was either good or bad.
Yeah.
And I didn't settle on him being either way until you, like, knocked on his door. And that's when my two options clicked into place. So technically, there was nobody in the basement until you knocked on the door, and then.
Was it immediate that you decided Archibald was there?
Oh yeah, he was there the whole time. The whole time.
Yeah.
I want to look through these cards.
I want to look through them. Balance keeper. We know that's
So,
something
like,
to do with Aggie.
when did you actually design them and print them out? Like, when was that?
I remember seeing you make them. It was a long
pretty
time
early.
ago.
Was it before we started the game or very soon?
It was
very-
during Act 1.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
obviously we
It was-
found
it was
them
very
in
early
Act,
on
So
in
it was
it.
very early on.
I found them in the finale of Act 1.
Yeah.
Iron Sentinel.
Revenge we've had.
What do you want me to just read them out then?
Talk us through them.
The Divine Soul. Rosalind.
Yes.
Hello.
The Knight's Protector.
Oh, question. Will I ever find out what Mummy meant about having the seeds of something precious inside me that I need to protect? Is that just my divinity? Will that come up in the future?
Maybe. Maybe not.
Interesting.
The Knight Protector.
Talia.
Cute.
That makes sense. The Fraternitas Custodum, but it's crossed out
Yeah.
because
They were killing us.
they all died. Death. It's just
Death.
death.
Just death, yeah.
Revenge with poison.
Yep, just a feeling.
Just the feeling of revenge.
And the act.
The act.
The desire.
Just
Revenge, but with a dagger. Do they mean anything
Or
different?
did you just print out two?
Just two, yeah.
The Iron Sentinel was Harold.
Mm-hmm.
The Tainted one is obviously Gilbert.
Mm-hmm.
She Who Returned.
Love the taint.
Georgiana.
Georgiana.
Time is just time.
Time.
It was fun when that one came out because I was like, oh shit, I'm not ready for this to be revealed yet.
Yeah, but what would we know? We don't know shit about an owl that says she who returned.
Yeah, but then Talia was like, well, Maijai was like,
Can I roll an insight? Like
Oh,
I knew
true.
that it was somebody that I knew
Yeah.
quite well.
Oh no, I remember because you had to come up with something, and I think you did a very good job with it. Somebody you've met.
Yeah, because I got a nat 20 on it.
Yeah.
mm-hmm.
Time is just time. Is that time running out or?
Time could mean anything.
Yeah.
Time running out, just the concept of time in general. Yeah.
Just anything time.
The Oak Hand.
You've met them now.
Oh, the druids.
Mm-hmm.
Right, that's the whole people.
Yeah, I knew who that. I knew who that was. I knew who that was.
Oh my god, when we pulled that!
Yeah, when I was
And we were all like, oh, it might be a god.
I was like, oh, I know that one.
The Hallowed one. Eloise?
Yeah.
No.
No, it's something evil.
Yeah.
Just one of many demons.
Okay.
The Balance Keeper.
Dead god.
Okay. But it's connected to Agatha.
Could be.
Interesting.
The
Yeah,
Rat-
because we had the Morning Star and the Key Bearer. Those are both Agatha, aren't they?
Well, the
In a
Morning
way.
Star is like Lucifer.
Well, yeah.
Maybe.
This one looks like the Lilith one.
Yeah.
With
The
words
Wrathful
in it.
Emperor says Smode.
Or
Smode.
Asmodee.
Asmodee.
Yeah.
Nice.
He's
Asmodeus.
he's a big bad demon.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
A lot of them are, just names of demons. It's a good job you didn't pull any of those out. You wouldn't have wanted to accidentally summon one.
Ooh.
Prince of Accusers. Astaroth.
Astaroth.
Another demon, I assume.
Oh, that's
The
a cool
Watcher.
It's a lighthouse that's got a skull at the bottom.
Made out of roots.
Yeah, another. I guess a dead god.
Lord of Bones?
A demon.
The Astral Gates.
Oh, the gates.
The Gates.
The
You've
gates.
seen the astral plane? No, that's just that's just something different. But you've seen the astral plane a little bit and some visions.
Death again.
Another death.
Yeah, like sometimes it's useful to have more than one death card.
Fortune.
Fortune,
Just
the concept.
of fortune.
Mm-hmm.
The Welcomer. It's got a big.
Is that
cathedral
Westminster
on it.
Abbey?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, because I guess that's the welcomer of the whoever comes through
Yeah.
The path.
with a globe.
Again, it's a concept following the right path.
Very cool.
And then if you'd pushed it with the cards, you would have hopefully have learned that you could actually control the narrative. I mean, Duna kind of said that anyway.
Yeah.
But like, so if you wanted to push further, you could be like, I'm going to put these cards together. I want this to happen.
Yeah.
And it would have...
Talia thought, like, she knew she had to spend more time with it, but then things just sort of kept happening. So, like, again, I think she spends a lot of time with the cards in the future trying to figure it out.
Yeah.
But
So with the Morning Star, because obviously we know the key bearer is like a choice that needs to be made.
The key bearer is Agatha,
Is yeah.
or is the Pentecost.
Yeah. With the Morning Star is... Because obviously the Morning Star is like the devil. Is that a metaphorical devil and that's why it was following me, or is it a literal devil?
Which answer would you prefer to hear?
The correct one.
Guess
Will
we'll
it
never
come
know.
up in a one shot?
Probably.
And that's why you're
Okay.
playing
Might be.
it? Yeah.
All right. Cool.
Good. Look forward to that.
Yeah. Fun.
Do we want to go and do some favourite moments from the show? I think my favourite Rosalind moments, this is not in any order, they're just going to be in whatever ways I think of them. The scene that keeps standing out to me when I think about Rosalind's journey is when she got angry at Lilith and she said she's been angry since she was born. And that was the first time she's ever shown or admitted anger. That is one of my favourite scenes that I've ever got to do, like, in anything. It interests me, like, to no end. That whole dynamic in that scene, and then including the Warlock level up shit that happened and the magic around that. But that scene, killing the Viscount, everything about killing the Viscount, God, that was good. I had more. I'll throw it out there because it's cute. When she first confessed her feelings and kissed Talia in the underground. Like when we were drowned little rats and Agatha was dead a few feet away. And that was just because that was so iconic. And that was the first time we really broke through. I think I've done 3. I know I know I'm missing something huge.
We can come back to it then.
Yeah.
the moment with Madam.
Yeah, that's a nice one too. I don't think that's up there in my favourites. Oh, Bedlam. Realising that she was the leader, leading through screams and hysteria, but still being the leader. Her first kill being that mercy kill of the crucified person, and the way she talked through that. That was really cool. Oh, of course, I know my favourite moment, my favourite Rosalind moment in the whole show is her conversation with Frederick when he woke up. Obviously, fucking obviously. That's my favourite Rosalind moment, is when, specifically in that scene, when she realised as she said it that she wasn't sorry anymore. And she was laughing while she was crying, looking him in the eye and saying she wasn't sorry and she didn't define herself by him. That is my favourite Rosalind moment. And also being Caroline of Brunswick. And then...
I think I've got my 3.
Yeah.
My 3 for
Would
me.
you like to jump in then?
Saying goodbye to Gilbert
Yeah.
right at the beginning. I've sort of got a beginning, middle and end, which is
That's
quite nice. Saying goodbye to Gilbert and having that interaction so early on was so everything. Sending Jonathan away and that whole... Sending Jonathan away / finding Jonathan at the Sanctum and the reveal
Yeah. The Jonathan arc.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And completing her arc. And
Yeah.
finally
100%.
finally not caring about her own personal wants anymore.
Yeah.
Which is quite nice because that's sort of her
Yeah,
arc in 3
is.
moments.
My 3 are all based on like the connections that she has with people around her. So the first one is her conversation with Harold when he woke up, because she'd spent so long hating her. Well, not hate, but thinking that she hated him for like leaving her, and just being able to tell that to him, and he was understanding and wanting to do better.
Yeah.
That was a really big moment for her to like say like how she was
That's
actually
one of my
feeling.
favourite scenes in the whole show. That's like one of mine for you and for you, Lyndon.
Yeah.
Like one of my favourite bits of both of you.
Second one, it's absolutely devastating, but it is the whole like the few episodes when Thomas died, because that was such a huge turning point for Agatha, and there's not like a particular moment that I can pinpoint that would be my favourite, just that entire storyline. It was just so beautifully devastating, and it made Agatha question a lot.
Yeah.
It just made her grow up. Really.
Yeah. And lastly, the conversation with Martha towards the end.
That
once
might
again,
be my favourite scene in the show.
Yeah, once again, like saying how she actually feels. And it was very different to Harold's in the sense that he like took responsibility and was trying to change. It's the opposite, but she still got that closure that she really needed. So those are my 3 favourite moments.
Lyndon.
I also really liked being champion of the dogs.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah.
That was a good one, and I liked the
Small dub thing.
No,
it is, but it was like it was a
when you look
moment.
back, yeah.
And the card game with the Viscount.
Oh, that's such a good scene. Lyndon, do you have favourite things you've done, or just general favourite bits?
I mean, so much, but like getting everyone's like, oh, this is my character, this is what happened to them, and I'm like, absolutely, the way you see that is totally valid from your perspective, and then
Your mother's been dead since you were 4 years old.
and yeah, like, yes, the way you felt that way about your mother, well, all of you, about your parents and stuff, and like that's valid, like that is how you feel. But also, that's not how it is.
Yeah.
And it's going to be fun getting you to see that later on, which you all did. As these sort of, people that you'd put up here were down here, and then people you had down here and up here. And you would go on about your mother so much. Like, Georgiana this, Georgiana that. And all the time I would be like, I'm sorry you feel that way.
Well, the thing that sucks about it is that everything that happened to Rosalind is still true. It just shouldn't have been. Like, that's the thing that sucks the most.
Yeah, it's just your one perspective of it. Now you've not stepped back. Well, as a player, you can step back and see the broad picture, or 90% or 80% of the broad picture. But
sadder. Like, it's just even more of a tragedy.
I think there's still the potential for happier endings. Yeah.
I don't think Talia's view of Gilbert changed all that much, other than realising that maybe he failed in a cup.
He's not perfect.
Yeah.
No, I mean, you can't make everybody, what's the word?
Shitty?
No, not shitty, but like surprises and, switcheroos. So Gilbert from early on was just Gilbert. I mean, he had his own stuff. Like, it's other people that...
Yeah.
Like, so you saw him as he is. In actual fact, it's people like Harold and Frederick who got the switcheroo from Gilbert. Even though it wasn't delved into too much, perhaps it will when he comes back. But
from the fact that like he was trying to get Talia in and like none of them knew about it, and like he was doing things behind the scenes.
Yeah, I think Gilbert, being a single parent to a daughter, had a different perspective on life, and I think he saw the writing on the wall. But too late. He was, I think. Though I know, he knew that the Sanctum Impervious would not, or the Brotherhood needed to change to grow, to keep going, but he was too late. But he knew the time was running out, he'd been studying it in the stars and whatnot. But yeah, he was too late. But in some ways, he just did it, I guess. slightly too late to save his friends and family, just in time to save the world.
Yeah.
So ultimately, star player, Gilbert.
I'm very interested in exploring what that's like between the three fathers when they're finally reunited, when we do our Hell series, because like that is huge payoff. Like they've not been reunited the whole show.
Yeah.
Like they've not seen each other since the events of Fathers and Failures.
And I'm very interested in the Brontons in general, which I sort of wasn't before, in like the dynamic for the generation above me.
Yeah.
So like Gilbert and all of his siblings and his dad, and what that dynamic was, because I know that we were sort of not kicked out in the way that Francis was kicked out, but we were sort of vaguely cut off from the rest of the Brontons. And I know that his other siblings didn't see us or speak to us, and I maybe met them like once. But I'm interested in what that dynamic was.
Yeah, I think they just...
Because I know Gilbert was always like the black sheep of the family, although apparently not actually. But that's what we always said.
Yeah, I mean, he was still the oldest, so he inherited the business and stuff. But just the younger sons, I don't know if there was perhaps some jealousy, you know, when money's involved, that's often the case.
Yeah.
I think probably your grandparents were really responsible for fracturing the family, especially having kicked out Francis. They kind of told all their children that you're kind of...
expendable.
Yeah.
Is Francis the oldest or the youngest? Because I think she was on the end of a line.
I think she's the youngest.
I think she was the youngest.
So I think and she got kicked out pretty early on, teenager, 14, 15.
Jesus.
I don't say kicked out, but like disinherited, because it's almost a bit more official than just kicked out. And Gilbert's always had a candle, and that kind of gives that romantic view, but not.
Yeah,
But like he's never let her go, and
Yeah.
the reason why he never told Talia about her is because he'd never found her, and so didn't want to sort of. He needed an ending to tell a story.
Yeah.
If he could have been like, "Hey, come and meet your auntie,"
Yeah.
rather than be like, "Hey, you have an auntie out there, I just can't find her." It's like, well, what's the point in telling a child that? There's no point.
That's so
I
sad.
wonder if Gilbert knows that Talia's gay. I think that's pretty obvious, but like...
I don't think he does. Because he believed that she could fall in love with Colin. Like, wholeheartedly he believed that.
He believed that Colin was a perfect suit for her,
Yeah,
which
Yeah.
is a different thing.
I guess. In my head I'm like, he thought that she could be happy with him.
Yeah.
Which is not the same as being in love. But like, I don't know.
It wasn't 100%, but he was pretty sure, I
Yeah.
What
think.
about Jonathan?
Oh, Jonathan knew 100%.
Obviously,
Yeah.
Because in my head, like,
They
Jonathan's
got
the
it.
one who knew.
Yeah.
Like, and Gilbert was the one who sort of could have gone either way.
Yeah, Jonathan was probably the one dropping hints to Gilbert
Yeah.
to sort of, make
would
sure
like
you
to have
make
seen
sure
that.
you pick a man that's very
Studious.
suitable. Like no one too masculine, no one too rowdy, just someone
Little femboy.
nice, a nice
Little
boy.
Twinkie femboy.
What she needs is a nice boy to calm her down, he would be saying. Like
Wow.
you don't want none of these adventurous types. No,
Yeah.
that wouldn't suit her. She needs an opposite, he'd be dropping hints and stuff.
Yeah.
But Gilbert's not stupid, so like he would have had an idea that she's at least very much a tomboy, and I'm sure with time could have figured it all out in the end.
Yeah.
But
The
yeah.
thing that is interesting to me about Gilbert is that he didn't have a clue about Rosalind, and Jonathan did. I think that's always the thing that's been interesting to me.
He doesn't pay attention to anybody outside his household, not
Yeah.
really. He's got his work, he's got his
Very Brompton corridor.
Yeah.
he's got his daughter, he's got his houseman, he's got his aunt,
His platonic husband.
his cousins, and his work, so
Yeah.
like he's not really going to pay a lot of attention to the youngest child of the Penhallows
Well,
beyond
no,
niceties.
I don't mean that knowing Rosalind was gay. I mean knowing Talia's in love with Rosalind, because that's what Jonathan knew, and Gilbert didn't. And that's where I've always had the thought that Jonathan was 100% that she was gay, and Gilbert could have gone either way, is because Gilbert missed the fact that Talia was in love with a woman.
Yeah, well,
in
Jonathan
his
spends more
house,
time with
you
Talia.
know.
Jonathan is the one that raised Talia,
Yeah.
in the day-to-day aspects, the cooking, the cleaning,
Yeah.
the not picking up from school, but at least
That equivalent.
yeah, but all of that sort of stuff. And Gilbert was working, and then Gilbert would come home from work, and you would have all the nice stuff, the really nice stuff, the pleasant stuff. But you can easily miss the day-to-day stuff when you're busy at the bookshop.
Yeah. Or, fighting demons.
Or fighting demons.
There is that
yes.
too.
Well, he was in Paris, officially.
Fighting demons.
Yes.
The French Brotherhood.
Yeah, they're all gone. So sad.
Sorry, I interrupted there.
But that was, your favourite moment.
So I guess my favourite moments were revealing that Gilbert had killed his wife.
Yeah.
Because you said you did, that wasn't planned to ever come out when we did it, or was it just that you didn't want it to come out then?
I think it could have come out. I didn't have a plan for it to come out, just that it wasn't gonna come out.
Right.
But yeah, you got lucky with some dice, and so it came out then. Would it have come out in the future? I don't know. It was still canon, even if it didn't come out. But I think perhaps at some point it could have come out later. So yeah, those two, revealing Georgiana, of course, killing Thomas. I like giving you guys something to feel.
And you're very, very, very good at it, which is evidenced by the amount of tears on this show. The Viscount reveal was a very good one for you as well, I think.
Yeah, I suppose that was my first big one, I suppose.
That's one of my favourite you DMing moments, because you could feel the planning that had gone into it and the joy, the sick joy.
Yeah,
but
there were always certain moments that I wanted to happen during the game. That was one of them, obviously, because I needed your ring. Killing Thomas was just something I couldn't plan that from the start, but very early on, when I saw the writing on the wall, I was like, Thomas has got to die. And that was purely for my own pleasure.
So rude.
I remember when you came up with that, because you were writing down on your notes, and everyone was in the flat, and then there's a point where I sat down at the table and I was doing my own DM notes for something else, and then everyone else went to the kitchen. And Lyndon just stops writing, looks up and goes, I'm going to kill Thomas.
You knew!
And then well, of course I fucking knew. What do you mean? He had to tell someone.
Rio knew everything.
It's so nice to tell people, and then they can't talk.
I swear I vaguely remember walking back in after that and you just being like...
And just continuing with because I can tell
What are you supposed to do with
It's
that?
not actually my fault, because you all ganged up on me and said you cannot kill
The dog.
I was going to kill the dog.
Well, the dog did technically die.
Yeah, I know, I still did that in the end, but
He's
not really. He had a transference of his soul to
Someone
a better place.
Yeah.
When he's in his little thing, he's just in a big field where he can run around chasing birds and stuff like that. Yeah.
Everyone's gonna look at me differently now, and it's just I'm not the one who came up with it.
The thing is that you weren't you were still back with your parents when Thomas died.
Yeah, but I said it weeks beforehand.
Yeah, it was 8. Yeah.
Yeah.
This was a while ago.
Oh,
I was doing
okay.
my own little when I was doing DM notes. This wasn't for the campaign. I was just creating the world. Still
Right.
on my own.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just feel it's important that when you're playing, every player needs their own moments.
Yeah.
And the other two had quite a lot, and Agatha was sitting there, and they were having this beautiful moment, bringing in Thomas and creating this sort of joy in the storyline. I'm like, okay, I can take that, and I can give you an even bigger moment.
Yeah.
It's true. You're
I
not
did.
wrong.
How much of Agatha's story sucked if she lived happily ever after with Thomas? She got Harold. She got Thomas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was a bummer, bro.
Do
I
you
got.
have any favourite moments?
Oh, I'm not finished yet.
Lyndon's not finished yet. Lyndon,
I have a lot of characters. You guys only have one
You
each.
get more than
At the very end, I was getting very attached to Lucas at the end. At the very, in the very last episode, where I was kind of I was trying to kill him. It had to happen, and I was trying to kill as many people as possible, which I did very badly at, unfortunately.
not have to happen. He didn't. He lived.
But he was one moment away from dying.
Yeah. Did that make you sad?
Yeah, I was sad, but I wasn't gonna stop. But at that moment I was like, oh, I can't. Especially when Diamond was lying there dead, I'm like, if I kill other people, not everyone's coming back. Which is what I was trying to do. I was like, I want you to have a choice to make, because that's more interesting. I sadly failed. But even if I'd killed the king, you got to bring the king back.
Yeah. Rosalind was very fucking aware of that.
I was like, but there was, I don't know how many healing bringing spellbacks you had?
I had
Two river
we
Two.
had
mines.
two between us.
So you'd have to kill
Two
three.
between you.
Yeah.
So
I had one Harold.
that's what I
one.
thought. I was trying to kill 3 people. So I thought if I could kill the 2 of them, so Lucas and Diamond and the King.
That was what Rosalind was afraid of going into it. Like that's so.
Or even, because I guess I never managed to actually kill.
You brought me down.
Yeah.
That was very close to death
Yeah.
though.
For me, what was really scary was either Agatha and Albert dying, and either Rosalind having to choose between them or Harold.
Yeah.
Imagine Harold having to choose between his 2 children.
So my biggest regret.
It's literal Sophie's choice. Harold's choice.
Harold's shot.
Yeah, my biggest regret is not being able to give you that choice.
Sucks to be you.
If Diamond had died, Harold would have brought her back to life, I think, with his spell.
Well, Diamond did die, but
But not if it had been like, yeah, you know what I mean. That's what he would have used the spell on her, and then it would have been up to you, I think, to choose between the others,
That would have been so horrible.
whoever was there. Yeah, and of course you could always bring them back later. There are rituals for that.
Well, I was just gonna say because Lucas was all the way up the balcony and like.
Yeah, like
that
if
was-
he'd died, I wouldn't have known.
Yeah. Like that's that thing as well.
Because that's why I didn't heal him throughout the whole thing. I didn't know he was that. I didn't know where he was.
Mm-hmm.
And I couldn't see him to see that he was low. I didn't know that he was like, about to die.
But yeah, no, I got very attached to him at the end, so I'm glad that they got a little happy ending.
Me too.
Well, so far anyway. I feel like he's mostly gonna be safe now. He's not an outdoorsy person anymore.
Yeah.
But I'd like to think that he gets somehow, depending on what the chaos of London is like, he will regain possession of his house and
Yeah.
his father's fortune, titles, whatever. And yeah, marry a sex worker from the slums. They'll come up with some sort of fake ID for her and story.
Yeah.
Like he could do that so easily in his sleep. He probably has already started.
He so has.
well, because that's his future wife that they're attacking.
Yeah.
So,
One kiss.
He's got to make it reasonable for
does.
society.
He does.
Yeah.
I love him.
He's a smart boy.
I think, and she will delve into that, not delve into, but you know what I mean. She will take hold of that backstory and make it fully hers.
She'll run with it.
Yeah.
She will love that,
I
yeah.
love her. But no, Lucas, I will say again while we're on it, is one of my favourite of your things as a DM, your creations, your stories. I think you've done it beautifully. Like, I'm very open about it as somebody who has complex PTSD. You don't get a lot of good representation. I mean, you don't get good representation for a lot of people with like mental disabilities and mental illnesses, but I do think Lucas is such good representation, and he would be even if he hadn't left at the end, you know? Lucas is such a beautiful character, and he has like such moments of joy, even though he's also so deeply sad. And he's been so helpful the whole way through, and watching his growth from saying, oh, girls aren't supposed to be here, to like welcoming in and applauding Madam and Richard and Diamond, like, has been beautiful. I think he has been one of the highlights for me of the campaign.
Very good. Definitely playing him I was more worried about playing Martha, so I was actually quite pleased with Martha's
You did a
portrayal,
really good
because I
job.
wasn't sure if I was gonna actually act it out, because it can be quite obviously difficult to act out sort of madness and stuff, but
Yeah.
Yeah.
in the end I think she did okay.
Yeah, it's difficult for that as well, because I personally, as far as I can think, I've never seen an accurate representation of psychosis.
Yeah.
Or at least, like, my experience
Yeah.
with it. I've never seen anything similar to it. There may have been, and I just can't remember. But it is so under and badly represented. It is really difficult.
But that is why she only got to appear right at the end,
Yeah,
pretty much. Like,
yeah.
that's why you missed her at the house, which I'm quite glad of. I just
Yeah.
wasn't ready to prepare her.
Yeah.
I
to
also think
perform
that
her
the
at that point.
effect on Agatha of seeing her would have, like, I think it was perfect that it was only that little bit at the end. I think that's what it needed to be.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, she was being drugged and spell drugged by Georgiana to keep her
Yeah.
docile. And
Fucking knew it.
Called it.
Georgiana was doing what she could, biding time.
Yeah.
had to kind of I mean, she literally through rituals rather than her own power, so it required the whole of the oak hand to drop a spell on the village.
Was it a like reflavored version of calm emotions essentially? Because that's kind of like everyone was just.
That's what I thought.
Sure, in a way. I didn't really
like
have a.
It's not the actual.
I didn't have a spell in mind particularly, other than it was just sort of almost like pausing time.
Yeah.
That kind of left people sleepy and docile, and like kind of gave them some just a way to like they're doing the same thing. They don't realize that time is passing. They don't realize they haven't seen this person or that person or whatever. And I thought it was fun because I wasn't sure how you'd take it when you got there. I didn't know if you'd be like, oh, this is something coming from the Penhallow house somehow and unraveling a mystery, or you're like, oh, who's got here before us? What bad guy has cast
I
the
thought it
spell
was
on
a
us?
bad guy thing.
Yeah.
I didn't
And
know what I thought.
then my reflavored 4 Horsemen of the Apocalypse.
So cool. So cool.
So you've got Death with not Monroe. Newman.
Famine.
Famine was. Well, it's not. Famine isn't one. I think it's plagues, but it's all the same sort of thing. So that was the king, and he was responsible for
The maggots and stuff.
all of that. So when they knew you were getting out of town, he was trying to. They just weren't very good at their jobs. And I think the biggest thing there was that they relied too much on demonic powers, like these demon dogs ran through the city of London and killed so many people, but they were like, yeah, we did that.
Yeah.
Because they were the ones that summoned them, brought them in. But I mean, the mages at the end were rolling incredibly terribly. Like, I was literally rolling 2s and 4s the entire time, which is why none of their things hit you. Anyway, lots of stuff, so, yeah.
With the plagues, were you trying to make them like the 10 plagues? Or was that just
plagues in general, just
right,
like,
fair.
so he was, so I wanted to kind of do the 4 horsemen, so he had kind of that, I can't even remember what the 4 are anyway now, but sort of, but the 4 people we met, even though the king was right at the end.
Yeah.
But hey, there's still one more to go still.
This says conquest or pestilence, war, famine, and death.
Yeah, so we've got the conquest one. I kind of was like, well, that was Monroe. It was the kind of conquest of the mind sort of thing.
Yeah.
So I had to twist that one a little bit because some of them are the same. So there wasn't a real war one. Famine was the king. Death was Newman. And then war was
the
paladin. Yeah.
Because he was a colonel.
Yeah.
Very cool.
I literally, until this moment, did not realise that was a reskin of the 4 Horsemen.
Well, it was very, I wouldn't say subtle, but just like a little hint.
But that's so cool.
I think we've talked about it on Teapot before.
We've definitely talked about the plagues coming through before.
I think we
And
have.
Yeah, because I thought it was the 10 plagues, and that's when I started getting fearful for Albert, because he's the firstborn.
Yeah.
So, and obviously no rain in London being drought.
The drought.
Yeah, so.
Seth,
There's not a lot of moments of Seth, but
you can still pick some.
well, yeah. I mean, 3 top moments.
That bag on a horse.
Well, that's a fun one, but I think one of them is definitely the conversation with Agatha before they left.
Yes.
That one, I think I blacked out while doing it, and I watched it and went, "Oh, I said that. That's pretty cool."
That's one of my favourite scenes.
Yeah, it was a
I'm gonna say
really,
this about everything everyone.
it was a really incredible moment.
And then another favourite moment is the end of the fight of the Abbey of the King plan. Given 1 HP.
Seth saving the world.
Yeah.
That one was. That's just like me as a player. A good moment. That's a moment where I was like, oh, okay, I D&D'd well, actually. I played the game.
Yeah.
How do you feel, Lyndon? I played the game at D&D.
Yes, you played the game of
played the
D&D.
game of D&D.
I like to imagine that one of Seth's, if not favourite, like standout moments was actually off camera, and that's where 4 older women pinned him down to a fallen oak tree and spent a night viciously tattooing every inch of his body in magical pain, and it's fun, right? You enjoyed yourself, Seth.
Seth Seth passed out like 4 times.
Yeah.
I think he's kind of like he's pushed that in the back of his mind, and it's only.
It was unfortunate, but it had to happen. Duna was there to soothe you. She was like, "That's a good boy. That's a good boy. It'll be over."
That helps.
Doesn't it?
The sun was setting. She was like, "It'll be over soon. Just sunrise."
I think there's a reason why he doesn't like using blades, because he just sees the point of a needle.
Oh
and he just goes,
no.
I'm good. I'm good.
He
Baby.
sees Rosalind's spiritual weapon and he's like, "Ah."
I'm good. Yeah. And then like third moment is just the. I mean, it's either the reveal of him being a clown.
Yeah.
Or the conversation in the carriage.
Yeah,
like,
both are good.
You are worse people. Not to be funny, you're worse people.
Not to be funny. I'm not having a laugh.
Not having a laugh, you're worse.
Seth was a dick. I'm gonna say it now.
No.
Strongly disagree.
Yeah.
Nice to see you all again. You're all worse than when I met you.
Not
Dick
all.
move.
I got better.
Oh, of course you would be
Yeah.
a Seth fan.
And also, the only reason why he says they're worse people is because they both
They are worse people.
they both threatened to kill him.
They did do
They
that.
did.
I think he's actually a really good person by being like, hey, I trust you enough to say that you're worse than you used to.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's a good friend. Calls you
Talia
out.
was really like, well, I can scare you away. And then the Viscount knows that I don't really care about him, so won't target him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think those are all the Seth moments.
Yeah.
Favourite moments for other people. My top one is your conversation with Martha.
Yeah. Same.
It's gotta be your conversation with Frederick.
Yeah.
Because they were brilliant. You saving the king
Yeah.
just because of how it all lined up.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of any that people haven't said.
Yeah.
And I think this is absolutely fucking mental deranged bananas of me to say as a favourite moment. It was not my favourite moment. It was actually like my worst moment ever in the moment. And it was my worst experience ever in the moment. However, I do
it
think
Talia
one of the
turning
most
into a demon?
entertaining things that's ever happened on the show is Talia killing Harry and then being like, I will take everything from you, like you've taken it from me, and
That was a
going
good
down
one.
to Archibald and being deranged. Like Talia on her proper villain arc
That was good.
awful, but like for you as a performer and
That was so
like
fun.
the
I'd
story
forgotten
you
about
were
that.
telling, to see Talia hit the rock bottom before she had to start improving, that was phenomenal.
That
like
was so
that
fun.
is one of my favourite things, you know?
That was so fun.
Also so random, but Talia when she was drunk in the pub on Aggie and Thomas's date, 'cause that was just really funny.
It's
White horses and chariots or whatever it was.
it's really hard for me to pick a moment. Because there has been a lot of observing
Yeah.
the two of you, and like so many beautiful moments.
I will say this. I'm going to say favourite moments. It doesn't mean they're my favourite moments as the character. These are my favourite moments. From
Yeah,
you guys.
that's
From
why
you
mine
guys-
is that's my Talia
From
one.
you guys as performers, or like how it
Yeah.
the story, or like something
Yeah.
like interesting plot points. I would say, despite how I reacted in the moment, Agatha going to the
Yes, yes, oh my god, so good.
It was despite how
Agatha's
I reacted,
whole laudanum addiction.
I was still convinced that Aggie was going there to just fucking kill a whore.
That's so deranged.
I
Yeah.
never thought that.
Nobody ever thought that.
I did.
You're the
Oh my
only one,
God.
yes.
I was like, oh, you're there to fuck them. That
Yeah,
makes
I'm
more
here
sense.
to
but
fuck someone.
I just thought you were like, I just want to see what it's like to kill a man.
No.
Why?
Because people do that. Some people join a D&D game and just try and kill people.
Okay.
Right, continue.
I will also say, good, like one of my, I mean, Rosalind has, I mean, this isn't moment, this is the lead into it, but it's like the Rosalind discovering that she is,
A person.
well, yeah, like a sense of like, people will follow me, I just need to ask.
Yeah.
You know, and I know she still isn't fully there, but
Yeah.
it's still very much a case of like, I am a person of influence, not in the way that I was raised to be,
Yeah.
but just the way that I am.
Yeah.
You know, that whole
Yeah.
kind of character thing, I was like, oh, I fucking love to see
Yeah.
it.
And I think it was really nice to see her growth even from the last battle, like the Bedlam battle, to the final battle at Westminster Abbey, as how comfortable she was commanding a team was very cool.
I think I know my answers now.
Okay.
For Talia, it was in your pocket dimension.
Oh, and
And-
you DMing.
Yeah, that the whole pocket dimension episode was so beautiful, and
I had a lot of fun with that.
yeah, it was amazing and so devastating.
Good.
I loved it.
Also, the concept of the pocket dimensions for you and the way you talked us through each of ours, is one of my favourite DM moments from you.
For Rosalind, I think my favourite moment would be when she left the Sanctum to go marry the Viscount. It was even obviously horrid, absolutely horrible, but that was like one of the first times she made a choice just for herself, and she didn't like
think it through.
well, no, she didn't think it through, but she also like knew that like if she had told someone about that plan, she would have been talked out of it.
Yeah.
And I think Rosalind knew that. Yeah. So that's why she went ahead with it. And that was a big step for her, taking that independence.
And it was also just as a player, I think that is one of my favourite things I've done, because it's the biggest swing I've ever made in a D&D game. You know, I've never before in a D&D campaign gone and like got engaged to the main antagonist without telling the rest of the party. That's a bit fucking bananas. So that was fun in a horrible way.
For Seth, it's definitely the conversation in the carriage. I think that I know I've said it so many times in the past couple days, but that was so beautiful and I loved it. It was incredible.
I agree.
And then for DM, what would my favourite moment for you be?
Shutting up and finishing.
What?
Shutting up and finishing.
Right.
Ending the campaign.
The rain.
Has it been 2 years or 3 years?
The
I
rain.
can't keep
2.5.
2.5, okay. So that's why it feels like 3 years.
Yeah. Maybe the moment with Lucas when Oliver was dying. You performed that so incredibly. And
not bad considering it was rushed. I was trying to squeeze
but
it
it
in
was
there.
so good.
Yeah,
I think
it was.
Yeah.
I didn't have much time. I knew I wanted to get that in.
Yeah.
But at the same time, you were now being pushed quite quickly. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna have to rush this and force it in, but edit that out. So I'm glad it didn't feel too rushed.
I've come up with another DM one, and it's it's for both. It's actually for all three of you as a unit, and it's the episode that I wasn't in. It's the episode where you crossed the bridge in the basement, and Lyndon gave you all the visions.
Oh my god!
All three of you. Really bouncing off each
yeah.
other. Lyndon, that was fucking gorgeous. Conceptually, it was gorgeous. Storytelling, gorgeously performed, and then you two, the way you responded to it, and it was so good. That's one of my favourite things.
That was amazing.
Yeah. I had another Agatha one, and I know it's been said, the Thomas dying arc, but specifically for me, there are two moments that stand out that haunt me, and I think it haunts me because obviously I edit the show, and I had been editing the show from that point, so I've watched these scenes a lot, so and some of them really do stick. And for you, in that, it's your description of killing the last guy from behind the barrel in the battle, and the way, just the look on your face, the way you held eye contact with Lyndon, and like it lost, and the silence went on, and it was so beautiful. And a little bit before that was when you sort of gave this little speech when Madame was trying to tell you not to just want revenge forever, and you were like, I will move on and I will find something good with my life, but tonight I just need them to be gone. Like, it was gorgeous. Lyndon, star for you. Actually, star for you as well. The whole Thomas dying arc, everyone, I think I just get really attached to the things that Rosalind wasn't there for, because like I got to watch them more as a viewer. So I think I connected to all three of you a lot in those moments. But Lyndon, it fucking haunts me. I talk about it all the time. This one random civilian guy who Agatha asked for his shirt, and he knelt down and he said, "He's gone, love." It broke me. Literally some random fucking stranger in the street. It makes me cry every time I say it. And you, when you couldn't lift Thomas's body and then Richard had to help. But like, that was such a beautiful moment. And it was such a beautiful moment because that was when you guys were having issues, but you could really see Talia's love for her friend despite everything else. Like, at her core, like, that was still there. And when things got tough, like, I think that was a moment where I could really see that, like, that's still at the heart of her. And just the fact that then it didn't work because Talia is sort of forced to be vulnerable in those moments, and Richard was there for her. That is such a small moment, but that really haunts me, and I think it's beautiful.
Speaking of the Thomas dying arc, it's kind of a point for you, and also just kind of how it lined up. But like the way that you said specifically, because you were talking through the funeral, and I was like, do I show up yet? Do I show up yet? Do I show up yet? And then because Talia had stayed with Lucas and like got him back in to make sure it was okay, and the way that you went. And that's why whatever it was, and that's why you're late, or like, and that's why it starts without Talia.
Yeah,
was so like.
No, I agree. That scene between you two is one of my favorite of the campaign. Like that was beautiful when Talia actually was trying to help him and like be there for him when he was like having a breakdown in the lift. Yeah. And for Seth, I think it is difficult because there are so few moments that all of mine have been said, but. The one thing none of us have touched yet is just the absolute, like, the tragedy of your little face when we said see you tomorrow and you rolled a nat 1 and you believed us wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
Like, that haunts me.
Yeah. And giving you a pastry for the first time. That was cute.
I also like Seth's little dances.
And
yeah, Seth having the best day of his life at the
Seth telling Rosalind that like, what are you talking about? You didn't have worth. Like, you gave me the best day of my life at the fair, when she had never considered that was an achievement that she'd made because her mum wasn't proud of her. So she was like, well, obviously nobody was happy with that.
Yeah.
Like that. Even post a lot of development, that still managed. Seth just gets through to these girls. Like that still managed to put more things in perspective for her. And just like getting to bond with Seth more in the final few episodes has been really nice.
Sometimes you just need to listen to a poor boy who has literally nothing.
You literally do. Seth is so wise, guys.
His wisdom is high.
The goodbye with Gilbert is like one for me, but your performance.
Yeah.
I mean, your performance of Gilbert every time annihilates me.
I agree.
But that one specifically, and I think partly because it was sort of the first we'd seen of him, but it like. I don't know. Like I was there. You know, like that one really, the way of like he was, because like you were welling up in it, and like because he knew what was gonna happen, but still having to like keep it together.
Watching you as Gilbert try and like not seem as sad and scared as you were was fucking heartbreaking. But I agree. Every time you play Gilbert, like. You just don't even have to do anything. You just do like the mannerism and the voice, and I'm like,
Gilbert. Oh, and giving me Amelia.
Oh yeah.
You being Amelia was
you
know, obviously always gonna destroy me. But But she was how I imagined her to be.
Just kind and nice.
Yeah.
That's why I allowed you to have her, because she was dead.
Yeah.
I'm not going to give you other nice things.
I'll go with you. I will enjoy it. And this is, once again, overarching, not a singular moment. It is, I have enjoyed, because it's the type of stuff I enjoy, Talia figuring out what her moral compass is and how lenient she is with it. It's one of those things because it's like in a couple of episodes she's like, well, no, you know, that's not going to happen. And then like a couple of episodes later, the situation's changed. It's like, well, that moral can be dropped like that. And it's always interesting to watch a character like do these things and then say like they want to do good and then the actions don't reflect what their wants.
Yeah.
And it's just kind of like watching a character struggle with themselves. I love seeing that in media. So just watching like Talia's kind of like, well, I'm doing good things for Rosalind in front of Rosalind, and then Rosalind's not around, and it's just like, I'm gonna spit on this man. And then you're back with Rosalind, and it's like, no, I'm not. I'm only giving a good old tug, and then Rosalind goes away, and it's just like, I'm gonna fucking kill this man. You know? So it's been interesting, and then just having that realization of Talia being like, oh, that's what bad people do.
Yeah.
Oh, am I a bad person? Do I want to be a bad person? And it's just one of those things where I find interesting because it's like everyone's been telling Talia she's a demon child, and for me, obviously, it's like, why do you want to give these people what they've been saying? Why do you want to prove them right? And Talia obviously going like, oh, you want that? Then I'll give you that. And on the other side of it is like, why do you want to make them right?
Mm.
You don't like them. Why do you want the people you don't like to be right?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, it's vaguely related, and it's just a quick thing I want to throw out before you carry on. I think my favourite scene we got to do together was the toxic breakup.
Yes.
I think by far
Absolutely.
the conversation and just getting to play that out fully was such a privilege. Like, it was such an honour that we had the space to give it the time it deserved and get to talk and cry for an hour about the problems in these girls' relationship. We did good. But continue.
I'm going to compliment Lyndon on something no one has complimented him on yet.
Ooh.
Penis size.
Oh, don't worry, that's never
No one's
coming.
ever complimented you on
I realised that as I said it, yeah. Nope.
Look at that cute little smug smile they got going on.
It is, so I don't really like horror stuff in general. I don't like horror movies. I don't really care for them. However, the only form of horror media that I personally enjoy in art and like short films and stuff is body horror. I find that so entertaining, so interesting. So all the demons,
Yeah.
I don't know the name of it, the Balrog, Balcom,
The Goldhog.
Goldhog, that's it. The
Balrog is Lord of the Rings.
I thought it sounded familiar. But the demons and the way that you describe the things happening to their bodies and the cracking of the bones and then like the extra long limbs, it's always so interesting, and it gives a visceral like a. It's just like, that's not right. That straight up ain't right. And I think you did a very, very good job with like making these horrors beyond comprehensible.
Yeah.
I think you did a
Cool.
very good
You
job
did.
with that. I will forever be using body horror in most of the things I do in D&D wise.
You're welcome.
But yeah, I really liked that aspect of it.
Yeah.
I also really liked Thomas's funeral and
Yeah.
the way they made each person give their little speech. just
Yeah.
on the side of it.
Yes.
Um,
So I keep coming up with quick ones based on I just 2 words, Madam Beatrice.
Yeah.
Like I don't think I've like she's so complex, and you played her so truthfully at every second she was on screen. Like, there was not a moment that you couldn't feel the complexity and the weight of her life, and her life as a woman and as a poor woman in this world. And I think she was exactly what the girls needed. I think she was a pillar of the show.
Yeah.
I think, like, blown away. Like, absolutely masterful character work.
Originally, she was going to be a joke character.
Yeah, she was Jennifer Coolidge.
She was going to be Jennifer Coolidge, yeah, but I couldn't nail. I didn't even try really a Jennifer Coolidge impression, and so that is not how they turned out in the end.
So we got
A very serious woman with
One
a
of-
very serious backstory.
one of the most complex and beautiful characters on the show.
Oh yeah, I will say then, to just jump on that, just the whole Madam B and the Aggie and Talia
Fallout.
Mm-hmm. Because it was one of those situations where, like, I can understand where these girls are coming from, but they live a life of privilege.
Yeah.
They live a life of privilege, and they're judging a woman.
Who hasn't?
That was going to be my question. Is she forgiven?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Rosalind never had any issues.
Well, you
with
weren't
that.
there.
Yeah,
It was
It's
a
not
moment,
for you.
It was a moment of not understanding your own privilege and also being enraged.
And also
And-
not understanding the other situation.
And also
Yeah.
being in the throes
Yeah.
of grief.
yeah.
But that's why it's so important that she stood her ground and explained her reasoning, because that's what you need.
Yeah.
I'm talking about Magnum B.
Yeah.
Yeah. No.
Explain her
I
reason.
I forget what they fall out about now. There's so many things.
She killed the cop that
Killed the
Talia
cop.
killed.
Oh, no, it was that
no.
she made the Thomas's funeral.
About
Yeah,
about
but that's
her.
when
Yeah,
that
yeah.
came out about killing
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
that was
Yeah.
Yeah, it was all about like making the funeral like a political.
Political.
Yeah.
In that situation, it had to be.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She
Yeah.
did her job.
She did her
Yeah.
job. She gave him a beautiful send off, and she did her job. Oh,
Yeah. Taking
Yeah.
control of the situation.
Yeah, and in a way, she made his death meaningful,
more.
mean
Yeah.
something.
For
She
more people.
it achieved something. She was able to use his death to
Yeah.
achieve something better.
It turned him.
Which
into
is
a
what he
martyr,
would have
yeah.
wanted.
Yeah.
Because he only ever wanted goodness and safety for
Yeah.
more people.
Yeah, he wouldn't have
Yeah.
been proud of the violence, but
No.
No.
but he wasn't stupid. Well,
Yeah.
okay, he was a little bit stupid, but he
He was
was
stupid in in some ways, and he wasn't.
He was smart enough to know that even if he doesn't partake in violence, violence is necessary sometimes to achieve a greater good. He just doesn't want to be involved in it.
Yeah, which is fair.
Yeah.
Unless you fuck with Zach.
Yeah.
It's not how he talks, but...
Is there any other final points?
Talks like this, doesn't he?
He does. Yeah.
Is there any other final points?
Well, I haven't done mine yet.
Yeah. Favorite moments for each of us.
So mine are... I was going to say the pocket dimension.
Yeah.
Both my performance of it and Maijai's.
Yeah.
But for Maijai. But then Morne said it. So then I was going to say the just the beginning, the Gilbert scene at the very episode
One.
one
or two, yeah.
yeah, it was episode 1. But then you said it. But I did. What I liked about that is it did kind of set a precedent and a sort of tone-ish. It was the first clues that things were not going to go to plan, I guess, or at least my original on-paper plan. But I
Did
probably
you surprise yourself that you were so like emotional in that bit?
a little bit, yeah, because the main focus for me there had been the surprise with Colin. And I was like, this is going to be
And then
fun.
you were like, wait, why am I
Yeah.
crying?
And then thinking about it now, I'm not even sure. I can't remember what was going through Gilbert's mind at the time.
Who's that? Or just the concept of
It says
fatherhood
the father.
with a violin?
Oh.
It's Daddy-O.
Who's Daddy-O?
Mine.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's a violin.
Violin.
Oh.
I just saw it. Sorry.
What was it? Yeah, because... So he'd come back just briefly. The others didn't know anything. Because he'd been researching and knew something was up. And I think he hadn't shared his fears with... Well, he'd kind of tried to share his fears with other people. It had fallen on deaf ears. And so he kind of knew... But not well enough, obviously. They wouldn't have got ambushed. That something was up. And he was worried that it was going to be big. And yeah, that they might all die. But also, I don't know how much of that was just bleed from me, because obviously I do know what was going to happen to them. So it might have been a little bit mix of both, not quite Gilbert all the way, because like he doesn't see the future. So, but yeah, I would say for Talia, stroke Maijai, those two moments, or one was entire episodes, but you know what I mean. For Morne, it was just the Thomas arc.
Yeah.
I thought that gave the most interesting performance, or the most meaningful performances and storyline. And then for Rosalind stroke Taya, it was the end. Well, not the end. It was the thing that I'd been holding on to for 2.5 years, apparently.
Yeah.
Where you'd just been, because you loved at home. It's like, oh, my mum's a bitch this, my mum's a bitch that. In game, guys, in game. Not your actual mum, she's lovely.
Hi, Mama Dad.
Hi, Mama Jack.
And so to be able to finally reveal that actually everything you knew about your mother was wrong,
Yeah.
was a fun payoff.
That's one of
And
my
I knew that you were
favourite
going to lose her
things
immediately
for
as well,
Yeah.
which was also fun.
Well, it's, for me, the thing with that is that happened, and then I laid on the floor for 5 hours saying mummy, and then I thought about it and I was like, oh, you're a genius, because I think it takes such skill to foreshadow something from the minute you start telling a story and never once have anyone suspect it. I think that's so skillful.
Well, I mean, there were some moments, but I managed to play it off. Like, because one of the things that was happening was that she was there. She was there when your hand got cut off.
Yeah.
Where else was she? I think she was outside the Viscount's house at one point.
When I got engaged.
I mean, literally every time you heard an owl hoot.
Yeah.
Was her, and I wasn't getting away with it, but I managed to convince you all that I'm just stupid and only know one bird.
You did,
And you all believed it. He only knows one bird.
Hey.
I'm like, yep.
That says a lot about you, and it does about us. Let's be so for real.
No, I just thought that was the only bird that would ever come to mind.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm like, I'm get out of jail free.
Even
You
with
can't.
that bird nonsense, like I never.
No, but you did the sorry.
I never suspected it was to do with Georgiana.
Yeah.
You know, so like there was no.
No, but you started to suspect there was something.
But we also got suspicious of the fact that it hadn't rained, and then you kept being like, oh no, that's nothing. I just forget.
But no, I genuinely had never suspected that there was anything magical about Georgiana. I never suspected that there had been anything done to her that was magical that made her the way she was. And yet you did foreshadow that throughout from day one. And I think that is so incredibly... I think it just shows what an incredible storyteller you are. On the subject of mummies, I haven't congratulated you for your performance of Lilith yet either, but I have greatly enjoyed that. I love the Lilith Rosalind story. I think it's so interesting and complex and awful, but also good. You paralleled and foiled Rosalind's dynamic and devotion to her father, who is a vessel of light and good, with her bond to a evil demon lady warlock, and that ended up being more Rosalind taking control for herself. Like that is bonkers. That is like this is all the kind of thematic shit that I fucking love. And I'm interested to see if I stay a warlock or not in the future.
Yeah, we shall see.
But sorry, I interrupted you.
Yeah, I was just going to say that because she'd been watching you the whole time, like on and off, she had to go home and stuff, but she would literally just magic her way or fly most of the time because she couldn't use the bigger spells. There could have been moments before you finally met up with her again that she had appeared. If you'd got into some serious trouble while she was around, she may well have interjected and offered some help and had been forced to reveal herself, which would have been a very different
story
reveal. You'd have probably stayed angry at her. And there's possibly not much she could have said about it other than grow up. Or something like that, you know. Some sort of snap as she sort of like pushes down emotions and just like covers it with just coldness. So I'm lucky in that way. I think that if you turned on the Viscount earlier, there may have been moments when she would have interjected. It could have been interesting. But you didn't, so you were strong enough. But yeah, I like that she was not always watching, but watching a lot.
That's so incredible story.
I don't know how many times I mentioned that she was there, but mostly at night, obviously. Whenever there was an owl. That was generally her. That's why there was an owl shrieking on your walk home, because she was just so angry and frustrated. I can't remember the others. But Seth's, I guess, was half off camera because we did record that little snippet, but which is somewhere we can find it and dig it out. But it was just fun just to know that again I was gonna mess with you guys and just.
And you guys really did have us convinced that Seth was never gonna get a class.
No. Well, because that's also a fun thing to do.
Well, and it's a very Lyndon thing to do.
And he would have exploded in that first episode. So good.
Dead.
Yeah.
If Seth didn't have a class, do you think he would have been more likely to have run away when we told him to?
I think he would have been dragged away. I don't think you've been given a choice.
That's the thing.
Reginald would have dragged you away. Reginald would have dragged you away.
Reginald's face at the time was, I didn't want to, because you can give it away, you can give the game away. Like if he'd given you a nod, you'd be like, oh, what's happening now? You know, it was more of a kind of like, this is unexpected.
I can't do anything here.
I hope you've got this. The only thing I didn't do, what I thought would be really funny, but would have like given too many wrong ideas and stuff, was to close the door as it goes out. Because you'd be like, what the fuck is he doing? Hey! So he just sort of
Reginald leaves the room, the door's closed, you
and
hear
lock.
it lock.
Reginald actually hated you all. He wants you dead.
Well, no, because
Reginald worked for the
he
Viscount.
would have died. Because it was being out of the room that kept him alive from all the fireballs.
I wouldn't have locked the door, but just close the door.
Yeah, that's funny.
I do want to ask, so obviously the owl was foreshadowed throughout the campaign. Were there any other moments of foreshadowing that we never picked up on?
Probably.
Well, I found one when I went mental after the Act 1 finale and rewatched every scene the Viscount was in. He would constantly glance down to the ring. Like you played him and there's a moment that I found of the first episode when she goes
I had to
into
tell
the
you to go
house.
looking for it, but it was there.
Yeah, when she goes into the house and he's like, oh, Rosalind, what a surprise. And he looks at the ring and
Well, you offered him your hand, I'm pretty sure, so he...
Yeah. And there's a moment as well before the moon ball when he was meeting us to discuss dresses and something, and he like kissed her hand goodbye, and you described it in a way that was like, I didn't notice at the time, but it was very different to how you described him saying goodbye to everybody else, and it was her ring hand, and I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, I did. What's it called? I took some risks.
Yeah.
In the hope that you wouldn't pick up on them, but they would
Well, I thought he
still
was
sit
looking
there
at her
somewhere.
yiddies because I had it on the necklace at that point.
Yeah. I mean, I guess technically he was, but the view
Yeah.
was even better than he could have imagined. And you brought it right to him.
Yeah, I did do that.
The ring or the yiddies?
Well,
Both. He had to travel all the way to the countryside before then. Now he didn't have to. Much prefers the city.
But yeah.
Or did. I guess he's dead now.
Was there anything else that you were setting up?
Were there any like big things that you were setting up that didn't happen, or small things?
Big things.
I feel like you're
Things
more
you
likely to
foreshadowed.
remember like big things that you foreshadowed that we didn't pick up on.
I mean, I was always trying to keep the possibility open that you might return to the to your pocket dimension.
Yeah.
That is
She almost did.
that is a permanent pocket dimension now. It exists. Those parents exist. They live. But it has that same sort of timey-ish feel that the village was under. Like, they know you haven't come home yet, but they don't realise that it's been months. They're just like, oh, she's not home yet, and they kind of miss you and stuff. But it's not like she hasn't been home for 3 months. She's like, oh, she'll be home soon, but I do miss her. You know, that sort of thing.
Yeah.
Like, oh, she's been out all day, sort of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is why they're not allowed. You don't rescue people from them because it's cruel. Basically, these are real people that exist.
Yeah.
So I don't know the magic behind it. You'd have to ask someone else. You know, it comes from the flesh of a god, and gods can create life. So yeah, one of the main rule for like, because it sounds cool. It'd be like, oh, you don't rescue the people that get trapped in, you just leave them to it. They're happy.
Yeah.
And if you take them from it, the world that's been created, if they're in it too long, like if they're in and out, then it fades. But if you're in it for too long, it becomes permanent. And I think it's a less cruel fate to leave these people. If they wanted to leave, they would have.
Yeah. I thought of another thing. Because you said that you'd been dropping breadcrumbs and basically telling us where Frederick was. Do you remember any of the ways you set up Bedlam? Because I don't. Because every time you were like, I've been setting it up for so long, we were all like, no, you haven't. Where are any clues to where Frederick is?
Yeah, so I'd mentioned Bedlam multiple times. Or if not by name, definitely by name, but other times just saying madhouses and stuff like that. I had told you that he was broken. Or lost or scattered. Which one was it?
They were all broken.
Well, it's not lost, because lost was Gilbert.
Harold was broken.
Yeah, scattered was Frederick.
Yeah, because his mind was scattered.
Yeah.
No, his mind was broken. And Harold was scattered to the winds.
I thought you meant scattered because his bones and his arm are just everywhere.
Well, maybe it wasn't. No. I think it was that way. It wasn't. His injury was not to do with the prophecy or whatever. And then, yeah, Gilbert was lost.
Yeah.
No, because the injury happened on screen.
Yeah.
Yeah, I guess because that injury didn't have to happen. It happened later.
Yeah.
Probably. I mean, I forget half the stuff. But definitely I dropped hints. I mean, obviously there was when you messaged him. That was more than a hint. I can't remember off the top of my head.
But there were clues about Bedlam.
Yeah. Probably bigger ones that I'm just not remembering
Yeah.
now.
I in this talk, I've thought of another favourite moment for I think for all of us who were in the scene actually, but mostly for you, was when Talia had seen Gilbert at the engagement party, and then we went outside, and on the way home, Harold realising Gilbert was alive, and Gilbert and Frederick were both
that's the
alive.
point that I wanted to say earlier.
Yeah, when Harold started crying and laughing with joy, being like, they're both alive, alive. That was the first time I think we could feel what he said at the very end of the show, which is that they're us with 40 years on us. Like, the hope and the sadness, like, in you, and you performed it so beautifully. Like, it was so beautiful to be a part of.
One thread that I never pulled and didn't grow into anything, and I guess it's probably a plot hole now, but there was a moment between Georgiana and Harold at the very beginning where she slipped him.
That was session 0.
That was session
session
0.
zero.
That was at Albert's wedding.
I also don't think that's a plot hole. Like, I think it makes complete sense. Georgiana is.
Session 0? I really
Yeah.
thought.
Yeah,
Oh,
it
of
was
course, because it
Albert's
wouldn't be.
wedding. Have
Yeah,
Harold.
yeah, you're right.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter then, because it wasn't. It wasn't
But
on
I
camera.
think that made perfect sense for their characters.
But yeah, because that was something I wanted to pull on.
It just never.
What was it that you wanted to do with that?
I wasn't sure. I just knew there was something. I wasn't sure whether Harold knew.
Right.
And I wasn't sure what her condition was. It was like I was
Oh, what,
playing with like
Agatha and
echoes
Martha?
and stuff like that.
No,
But
Georgiana.
definitely,
Oh, Georgiana.
it was definitely. It was because it was playing off of multiple people, like Martha being a bitch,
Yeah.
Harold.
Being an alcoholic.
Yeah, probably having some sort of relationship with Georgiana.
Well, in my head, it was just like I interpreted that as just that Georgiana is very smart, and Georgiana also doesn't like Martha, and Harold has spent a lot of time with the Penhallow family, and I think that beyond outside of Frederick, I just think Georgiana found those small ways to like try and help him because she could see that he was fucking miserable.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean,
that's all it was
It
to
was ultimately it was an echo of her kindness.
Yeah.
Because she was an incredibly kind person, as you would know, having been raised by her. Right?
I have one memory of her from before she lost her soul.
Maybe more will appear.
Yeah.
But, yeah. What other little things can I think of? I never really I never foreshadowed Gilbert killing his wife. That was just a deep, dark secret. He
It
just
was, but also
caught
a
me by
carriage
surprise.
accident.
Hmm.
You know, it's the oldest excuse. in
These
the
things
book.
happen, yeah. It's the only thing to explain her body being torn up into pieces. Horse hooves,
Must you remember?
wheels.
Must you say that every time?
Yeah. And then I guess there was a lot of small foreshadows for Martha as well, little bits. Agatha regaining her strength.
Not having
After
to
she'd
roll
been-
anymore for Aggie being sickly.
Yeah.
And stuff.
Well, and then I went into the character sheet and changed their strength from -9 to 10.
Did you?
-9.
I was gonna say.
Dead.
I was thinking
They changed
minus.
the
I was thinking
Constitution-
-1.
The Constitution from 9 to 10.
Yeah, sorry, Constitution. Yeah, because it was -1 to begin with,
Yeah.
and it was a 9, and I switched it to a 10.
Oh, I
Yeah.
thought I just did that with leveling up.
Yeah, that's what I
Got
wanted.
away with it.
Oh, wow,
why-
you
I told you that he did that.
Did you?
So long ago. Yeah. I remember Lyndon saying that had happened.
Yeah, but like a little while afterwards, I didn't tell you the same day or anything. I don't think.
Yeah. I have no memory of that.
Yeah. Any final reveals you want to make to us before we wrap it
Final
Do
reveals.
we know what it was that Aggie was being given to make her sickly?
No one's ever said that was happening.
Okay.
My
I want to
goodness.
know what her medicine was.
Just a custom home mix of home remedies that her mother would carefully and lovingly make.
up? It was nothing.
Yeah.
It did nothing.
It was water, honey, bleach.
Laudanum.
Probably. Probably why she got addicted to it so quickly. She hadn't had it in a few months.
Well, laudanum was a very common
Well,
cure for illnesses
yeah.
back then. They would give everyone laudanum when they were sick.
Yeah, she's giving you a cocktail of drugs.
Yeah.
Not my fault. I didn't make her. She did it of her own accord.
She did it because she had mental health issues and no one cared for her because she was a woman in Regency.
Yeah. I like to imagine now that Harold is going to
Yeah.
do as he's going to bite the bullet per se, accept the social scorn. I mean, it wasn't just it's not a selfish thing. He doesn't
Well,
want people to look down on his wife either.
Well,
to be like, oh,
yeah.
she's gone mad or whatever. He was trying to protect her.
I
as
don't
well
think
as the family.
Agatha accused him of being selfish. I don't believe she did.
No.
No, but like that is the logical conclusion if he's just trying to protect his own reputation and not get her the
Yeah.
help she needs. Not that there's
Yeah.
any particular help there, but she can certainly be put in a nice, soft house with very few things to upset her.
Well, we were saying as well, like even getting a nicer priest, even getting a more chill priest who might be able to, talk her down
Yeah.
without all the scary god stuff.
Like take steps at a time
Yeah.
to bring
Yeah.
her down, A more-
Like, get her into, like, a nice
A
church
community,
community.
I think
She's
she's going to
very-
be
she's
spending
very
time at the
isolated.
seaside now.
Yeah.
I think it's her turn to go to
Yeah.
Lime Regis.
Lyme
She-
Regis.
she
yeah.
needs-
Well, no, maybe not Lyme Regis because that's probably where a lot of it was solidified.
Yeah.
But he will
She can
find
go
her
to
in.
Brighton.
He will find her a nice place where she is nicely treated, where she's not upset, and hopefully one day she'll be a little bit better at least.
Yeah. I like to think that.
But I like to think that there's no real. I mean, one of the things we decided early on that was there was not magic to do certain things. There's not magic to cure
No.
the
Psychosis.
and
mental health problems.
and disabilities and things like that. Because if there was, it raises the question: well, why aren't you helping everybody?
Yeah.
You know. So we just kind of decided that there wasn't. I'm sure there was many, many, many other things, but if you don't have questions for me to answer, I can't answer
It's
them.
been a long chat, and I think more things and more important and bigger things will simply come up.
Yeah.
Because this isn't the last we're seeing of these girls and this world, and many other of these characters. There will be more content set in this story in the future. So keep following us. We are at Damsels in Dicestress or at Damsels D&D on all the socials. Keep an eye out for more Damsels content, Demons and Daughters stuff, and new stuff. We're going to be doing a new campaign with a new format in a new world with all new characters and new guest stars, and it's going to be a really fun time. So tell all your friends to jump on the Damsels bandwagon. I think we've had a really good debut campaign. So I just want to thank everyone who's watched it, even who's tuned in to one episode, even if you've just followed us randomly. Thank you. It all helps. It all feels so special to share a story that means this much to us all. To get to share that with an audience is phenomenal. Thank you so much. And thank you to everyone who supported us. We've been really lucky this past few years with award grants and scholarships.
The names are just here, they're all just popping up now.
So, we do this on very little budget, and we're very, very grateful to the people that have helped Demons and Daughters get the acclaim that I think we all know that it deserves. Thank you so much.
Lots of love.
Lots and lots of love
to all.
Do you want to say what might be happening next, or
We can, because I know what will be airing next. Tune in at some point soon. Keep an eye on the socials for release dates for season 2 of Family and Fae. It will probably have a new name. It will be a new campaign, but with the same Fae Earth characters set in Fae Earth, GM'd by our wonderful, beautiful, amazing friend Neil, the creator of Fae Earth. Let's go.
I thought you were just going to call it Neil the Creator.
Favourite rapper.
My favourite is Parappa the Rapper. I know, I'm so excited.
It's gonna be
to
so
back
fun.
with my
How are you
friends.
feeling about it, Robert?
Oh, come on, Robert.
And until next time,
Submissive and subscribable.